Hello, welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are going to be continuing and finishing off the narration and character voice acting for the Act or Die story. Alright everybody, so first and foremost, before we continue with anything, apologies for the very big delay between part 2 and this part 3, which is also the final part for this side story. But yeah, as I said at the beginning of the previous part, I was kind of sick throughout the pretty much almost entirety of November, and a lot of stuff got jumbled around and pushed around, so this final part as well is is massively delayed. I did manage to read the rest of the story, of course, before it was done in the terminal, and as it pretty much says right now on the side, event has ended. But yeah, I did manage to read everything before it closed down. However, because it was so short on time, I didn't have time to properly do the voiceover, the narration, the voice acting and everything, which is, like I said in the previous part, might be a bit difficult to do when your nose is kind of like halfway clogged up and you're trying to do both high-pitched and low-pitched voices. Normal voice is fine, but everything else in between is a killer. But yeah, apologies once again for this final part being so massively delayed compared to the rest of the series, essentially. But yeah, what can you do, right, when you're sick and you can't really record anything properly? But this also reminded me of another thing, which both, I guess, is a reminder for both old heads like myself, who have been with the game since the beginning, or for a long time at least, and for newer players as well. Once an event closes down, and if you have completed all of the cutscenes, of course, well, the stages, of course, and the cutscenes, of course, you can read the whole story through the archive, right? But to be added into the archive, you still need to wait an entire extra week until the event leaves the terminal, aka the main menu of the game, so it gets actually added into the archive, which is a bit of a bummer because as I was actually feeling better in the last couple of days of this event being live, I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, I can slowly work on this over the weekend and everything, but then got a rude reminder of the whole thing of, I need to wait an extra week. So yeah, a reminder, even if you complete everything, you still need to wait an entire week after the event closes down in the terminal, until it goes away from the terminal, so you can actually read it in the archive. Even years later, you can still learn new things, or get reminded about things that you already knew about, but forgot because you never had to rely on it, right? But yeah, anyway, here we are. We're gonna go into this final part right now, and in the recap, as always. But before I do so, a quick couple of words about this final part, because obviously I have to record most of the cutscenes, the voiceover for them, of course, through the archive. So cutscene-wise, this is gonna be a bit differently structured this time around, but not majorly differently compared to my usual thing here for anything Arknights related. The only difference is gonna be that there will be no in-between parts between the battle stages, essentially. There will be no like 1 or 2 minute kind of talk over the cutscene that we just watched. It will pretty much just be introduction into the cutscene, like the title and the description, and then we go straight into the cutscene, and that then is just gonna follow with the next title and the description of the stage, and you know, it's just gonna keep on cycling until we finish. This is the final part anyway, and I will be doing the outro section where I talk about the story and do my little yapping off-the-cuff recap of or a review rather of the whole thing, so you'll get the whole thing and the whole spiel at the very end of this episode. This episode will also be including one extra thing. After all of these cutscenes, we're also going to be including the full file for Tragodia. So to essentially to see, because his file does carry a couple of neat little tidbits post-story, pretty much very similar to how in the recent story for the Masses Travel, the files for Excusii and her sister Lemoine have also carried bits and morsels of story that happens post the story itself. Tragodia's file pretty much does the same thing, so we're gonna be including that full file in today's part as well. Miss Christine's operator record that was also added with this patch will not be part of this. I did upload this already onto the channel, and it's kind of like a neat little, kind of like a neat little, I guess, theater performance, you could say. I will link it in the description of the video for those of you who want to watch it. It's interesting, it's very theatrical, I'll put it that way. I don't know if it's a real story or if it's based on a real story from, you know, like in-game real story, of course, or in-universe real story, rather. But it's fairly interesting and kind of pulls parallels from how animals have been viewed as religious figures in history and stuff. Yeah, take a look. It's very interesting. Kind of very funny how massively theatrical the story goes. But yeah, outside of that, that will be the episode today. We're gonna start with the recap right now, continue with the cutscenes, then proceed into the file for Tragodia, and then a nice little yapping outro section about the story in general, and then you guys get the clips at the end. But anyway, let's proceed. Timestamps are down below in the comment section in the pinned comment as always. The bar on the YouTube, the progress bar also should have timestamps, so you can navigate through that on mobile way more easily, I would say. And yeah, let's begin. So then, last time we started off with a flashback to 5 years ago and the death of the actress Laura. In it, we also see how pretty much everyone present had a bit of a role to play in the negligence that led to her death. You can even say that Laura herself had a bit fault there as well. Another flashback shows us the Crimson Troupe traveling throughout the lands, the kills they did, but could never be tied to them. Back in present time, Tippy and Moira are discussing Michael's escape plan and are getting ready to watch a movie. The two of them are just having a nice wholesome time together. Michael and Marion, on the other hand, have a bit of an argument going. And we also learn that Marion is the one who invested a lot of money into Michael to make him popular and even better looking. Sometime later, the stagehand Houghton comes to the set and she finds a grisly scene. Hanging down on a single rope are Michael and Marion, killed. Michael with an axe to his neck, Marion with her scissors to her head. This of course shakes the crew up tremendously, since now no one can say anymore that these deaths are not intended murders. Greta addresses everyone by sharing her life story and making everyone understand her conviction to finish this movie. Greta also pays out the rest of everyone's salary for the rest of the shoot, freeing them from any obligation to finish the movie. Whoever wants to stay and finish it can stay, whoever wants to go can go. Now, with but a skeleton crew left, actress Melanie goes to find Tippy to ask her for some background artwork. Moira, on the other hand, goes out to take care of some work on her end. Greta approaches Lucian with a proposal to be the main lead for the rest of the movie, while Steven is racking his brain about the ending of the movie. Meanwhile, Melanie then talks to Tippy about her old rival in the business, Marianne, and we get to see an old face that we know. The famous actress from yesteryear, Marianne, is Jara Booker Wilson, someone we all know from Lone Trail as the Ryan Lab HR department head. Back to Steven then, and a mysterious visitor he just got. Seems that the god he was waiting for might have just arrived. Lucian and Greta have meanwhile set a trap for our killer. In Greta's room, they made it seem like she's just asleep with Miss Christine's help. The killer walks up, tries to kill Greta, who isn't there, and we get the reveal that it's Moira. In the conversation that follows, we get revealed that Moira is supposedly Laura's sister. And that makes this whole thing a personal vengeance. However, Greta and Lucian also reveal that Laura never had a sister. Greta did her research in the past, and she would know. Just then, the whole mobile plate begins to violently shake as it's getting closer and closer to the catastrophe, and Moira escapes in the confusion. In the room she hides away, Moira takes out a tape to play it. On it, she is looking at her sister's face and thinks about their time together. But when she dives far back into her memories, she encounters an abrupt cutoff point, making her question her past. Meanwhile, Good old unlucky stagehand Houghton is witnessing firsthand the destruction the catastrophe is bringing to the mobile plate thereon. And yeah, that is pretty much where we left off last time, so without further ado, let's proceed into our part for today. AD-7 Blood Diamond Song. I cannot hold back any longer. What? This is Greta's plan for the shoot? The Originium storms right in our faces. What are we, some sort of suicide squad? No way. This has to be the killers doing, right? Didn't you hear the explosion earlier? Someone blew up the plate's cockpit. There's no way we can slow the plate down or change directions now. Right now we're only barely caught up with the storm, but once we hit its core, they're not gonna find even a single brick from this plate. Alright, enough. So who on Terra was it? The revenge wasn't enough for them, so now they're gonna take out the rest of us too?
The murderer is Moira of the prop team.
What? Who's talking? I said, the killer responsible for the 3 murders is Moira! Moira? You're kidding me. That unremarkable Zalak? Miss Stone caught her red-handed. If Lucian weren't there, she would have become the next victim. So, where's the little rat now? I'll go find her myself. And what's the point of confronting a psycho killer when you can't even save yourself? She owes us an explanation. What if she gets innocents killed? You think I haven't thought of that? I already switched the wireless comms to broadcast mode to ensure I survive this. I'm sure everyone inside the plate has heard the truth by now. The killer is trapped like a rat. I have to live. I have to. Once I get back to central Wrankwood, all the bombshells I've collected these past few days will be enough to buy me a villa in Siesta. Shit! The plate's tilting towards the Originium storm again. Right, the land boats. We can use them to escape. They're gone. What? I went over to the emergency escape cabin earlier, and they were already wrecked by the storm. Every last one of them. There's no way out for us now. If I'm going to die anyway, I might as well take the chance and jump off the plate. Cut the shit out! Just move! Anywhere safer than the film set. Let's go hide underground in the engine lair. There truly are so many things to learn from the set design of a horror film. Thank you, Tippy. No problem. I have to get back and start making the visualizations for most of the visual effects first. Then we'll finalize the details after Director Quay is done with the script. Like I promised, I'm gonna design your finale to leave Lady Dupont in the cinema history. Right, I'm looking forward to it. Wait, how long have we talked about this? Did Molly ever find a way to escape? What now? That's not good. Wait, there's a voice from the comms.
Catastrophe. Control cabin destroyed.
Why is the signal so bad? It sounded like Abner's assistant. What kind of trouble is he getting into now?
The control cabin has been destroyed. The plate is rushing towards the catastrophe. Killer is Moira. Dippy grips the wireless walkie-talkie and turns the volume knob as high as she can, but it stays silent. She must have misheard, she thinks. But if so, why is Miss Rutherford looking at her with such a solid expression? No, there's no way. Dippy, I can't imagine anyone would joke about that in these circumstances. But when would she have even had the opportunity? The nights when Shelley, Michael, and Marion died, she was watching movies with me the whole time. There Was there really an opportunity? Dippy doubts her own mind. Was Molly really right next to her the whole time during their movie nights? No. we always watched multiple movies back to back, so sometimes she'd leave when I was switching out the tape. Sometimes she'd say Miss Stone was looking for her. Sometimes it was to pick up something she forgot on the film set. I'm sure you know how she's like, ma'am. She's still new to being a prop master and under like a ton of pressure, but she's super committed to her work.
Darling.
No, that don't explain how she could have done it. It doesn't prove that she did. A motive. Why would she kill all those people she had nothing to do with? Why don't I know anything?
Darling, maybe you didn't know your friend as well as you thought you did.
Let's just focus on the movie, so stop looking away from the screen. Sorry, there's just been so much going on with the film crew lately, I'm a little nervous. Don't worry, I'm here for you, girl. No matter who I am, one thing's for sure. I'm your best friend on this crew. Or maybe she never even thought of me as a friend. Maybe she was just using me.
The Liberi girl's head sinks. She speaks no more. Melanie hugs the little Liberi in front of her. The girl who was consoling her just a few hours ago is now crying on her shoulder. Melanie pats her back. She asks no question, nor does she say anything about the price of growing up. She only hugs her. Let's just leave this place first, Tippy. The convoluted structure here will only put us in danger if the plate gets too close to the catastrophe core. We would be safer underground, though that too may be futile if the plate doesn't change direction.
Underground.
Over Melanie's shoulder, Tippy spots some of the materials they salvaged from the horror film earlier. Underground. The word circles around her brain.
Wait, I got it!
What? You've recovered your pep already?
No, I figured out how to change the plate's trajectory. There was once a crew that snuck into another Wrankwood plate to film secretly, to save on rental costs, and they ended up with a super cool scary movie. I rewatched it recently, but the plate and the one we're standing on both came from the same batch made by Wrankwood. So basically, the specs should be pretty much the same. If my hunch is right, there should be another control cabin at the bottom of the engine layer.
What are the odds of making it there?
To be honest, no idea. But never tell me the odds. I gotta try. There's no point mulling over something I can't answer on my own. Only when we're out of this crisis will I be able to get the truth from her.
Meanwhile, in the prop room, Moira can be heard gently singing and cheerfully whistling.
So this is where you were, Lucian. That was my sister's favorite song. On breaks between shooting, she'd often look to the sky and hum the tune.
I thought you'd already woken up.
I did. Thanks to you. You showed me the truth I was blind to, and how cruel they truly were.
Then what are you doing now? A rumbling comes from beneath their feet. The Wrankwood plate rushes towards the catastrophe as the crew panics. No one would think to enter the prop room now, when they should be escaping. But it is at this very moment that the prop master gets to work. She goes around the room, fiddling with one mannequin after another, dressing them in clothes, correcting their postures. Her earnest focus is fully on them.
I only just remembered how I recognized Laura.
If you will allow me a guess, you met someone.
Yes, a very gentle feline. The weather was terrible that day. I was sitting on a bench for a long time, and there was water on my face. Probably rain, but maybe tears. The accident was caused by the negligence of the person in charge, but in the end, I was the one who had to pay compensation and was kicked off the crew. I didn't know anyone in Wrankwood, so I was no stranger to being treated like that. I ran away from home, you know. After my parents died, there was nowhere else to go, so the only thing left for me was...
death.
Then that person sat next to me. We didn't talk the entire time. He only gently waited for me to calm down. But when he left, I realized a cassette tape was sitting on my knee. That man brought Laura into my life, at a time when there was only darkness. She became my sister. She protected me, encouraged me, and helped me pull myself together.
Laura was already long dead by then. Her background, experiences, and even appearance all resembled yours. The man gave you motivation when you were at your lowest, as well as anger, confusion, and a deep-rooted thirst for vengeance. No doubt, that was no better than before.
Was that grief I saw flash through your eyes? Or pity? No, that's not it either. More like understanding, sympathy. Did something similar happen to you? Do you know him?
Of course. He's an expert in grafting non-existent joy and anger onto your life, much like how an unscrupulous director adds extra elements as he pleases to a story he deems dull. Oh, I suppose you would call it ad-libbing in the film industry. He pulls you from one pit of despair while guiding you into another, thus inciting the so-called beauty of drama. He's an old acquaintance, my teacher, the source of all my suffering, and a phantom that should be long dead. Finding you, finding him, is the very reason I came here. Moira, I'm sorry for denying all that you have.
No, it's not like that.
Moira finishes arranging her last mannequin and returns to the center of the prop room. She does a curtsy to Lucian's direction and lightly taps her fingertips. Lucian then realizes something has changed and looks over to see that every mannequin has come alive.
I don't think you've denied me. In my worst hour, Laura appeared by my side and has accompanied me for a long time now. She's my sister, as I'm hers. I don't regret avenging her. I don't regret shouldering all these sins. I will also be the last person in this land to remember her. I cry, I laugh, I rage, I doubt, I hate, I grieve, I yearn. And thus, I have them, these intense feelings I would never have had otherwise. I am alive.
The mannequins begin to move. Lucian recognizes who they were modeled after. The deceased Dalton, Shally, Michael, Marion, and also Moira herself. Moira stretches out her hand and holds her mannequin's hands one by one as they move past her. No music, except the trembling ground accompanies their movements, but the tiny Zalak prop master seems to have become the most passionate dancer on the land as she embraces her myriad. Strange, yet elegant.
I should be thanking you, Lucian. You helped me realize it. When there was nothing left of Moira anymore, I felt as if I became a mirror, and that I could become anyone.
Wake up. Satisfaction born from despair is nothing but poison.
I've never been more awake in my entire life. Would you also like to become my dance partner? Just like them?
As Moira finishes speaking, her dance partners throw themselves at Lucian.
Chill, Tippy, chill. Deep breaths. Remember how the plot went in that movie? The heroine had her friend pick up a weapon and hide in a storage room to the left, but she herself ran the other way. Storage room. Alright, the route matches up. Down we go. It's kinda dark in here. Well, dark is good. There should be a hidden door around the corner. Straight ahead. And at the end of the corridor there should be a backup control cabin. She knew all the mannequins chasing down the squad were her friends' work. The whole squad pointed their fingers at her friend. And she was mad too. Gotta get moving.
What are you doing here, Tippy?
I figured out that to change the plane's trajectory, we can avoid more casualties, so let me through ASAP.
There's a way out of this?
Don't listen to her lies. Isn't she the culprit's best friend? She could have been covering up for her this whole time. How else could we have missed all of this happening right under our noses? Right up until we're about to die? She tries not to think about her friend's betrayal, even though she still has things to say. She ignores the crowd mocking her. They're only attacking her to protect themselves.
It was you, the one always hiding in the back. First you interrupt the shooting, now you're preventing us from going home.
She wants to save everyone, including her friend. She wants answers.
Stop her! Don't let her through!
My eyes!
Tippy grabs the spray gun from her belt and glares at the fearsome weapon-wielding crew.
You leave me no other choice.
Are you guys afraid of one girl? Get her! The murders, the catastrophe. The film crew was already on edge from having to hide in the engine lair, so the spray painter's behavior only roused their pent-up anger. Their self-defense weapons scrape the floor as everyone rushes towards Tippy. Their hands are trembling. There is no way she can take them all alone, and she prays the hover unit on her back will work. Her final trump card. A black creature shows up at the corner of the corridor. It is as if the noise drew her here, but also as if she is barely passing by. No one notices her as they rush by, their heads filled with all sorts of extreme emotions. Miss Christine takes a sniff, and the rushing crowd slows down in her eyes, until they freeze in place.
Anger. Extremely spicy, but without a little sour envy to balance it out. It tastes a little bit off. Panic. Bitter and hard to keep down. But a little dash of sweet comfort will turn it into a nice dessert. Grief. A salty mix of tears and sighs that brings unnecessary trouble. If too much is added, must be carefully paired with other flavors. Pain. The most complex and ever-changing emotion. It used to be my favorite. But after meeting Lucian, the pain of ordinary people is almost flavorless to me. Well, there's another one over there. She seems to be that little Zalak's friend. At first I only took notice of that girl who seemed so similar to Lucian, the lead actress that man chose for his latest play. Yet I didn't expect your ties to make you even tastier than her.
Miss Christine shakes her tails, her eyes moving between shadows on the ground until they lock onto Tippy's silhouette. The lady's twin tails twist into strange shapes, as if a woman is wiping her knife and fork before diving into her meal. Miss Christine shakes her tails and licks her paws after a meal.
I ought to give you a small reward.
The lady glances at the crowd rushing towards the library. A little exercise to aid digestion after her meal, she thinks. Why am I here?
The catastrophe is about to hit us, so we came down here to hide from it. But what's with the wrench in my hand?
Weapons fall from their hands in succession, as the resulting harsh clangs wake even more from their delirium. They exchange looks of confusion, not knowing why they were all holding weapons, though they do know that they should leave.
Miss Christine? What are you doing here? How come they're leaving? When they were rushing towards me, I suddenly felt my whole body go cold, and lots of different feelings woke up in me at the same time, like they were fighting. But then a breeze blew by, I heard their weapons drop, and my body thawed out too. Like some kind of irresistible force pulled something out of me.
Miss Christine tilts her head. She taps her tails twice on the floor, successfully attracting the girl's attention, then points in a direction. They are right in front of the control cabin.
This place is older than I thought it'd be. Wow, the devices here are all previous gen stuff. But that's good news for us, since they're all sealed off to prevent dust and corrosion, and there's no smart locks or anything. Even I'd find it pretty tough to learn to hack on the spot. Let me see. The storm's moving faster than the plate, so just reversing's a no-go. Turning's the best way out. But trying to change direction when the plate's already so close to the catastrophe... No, I can't worry about that. Where's the backup navigational system? Here it is! First open the lock. Great, I'm in. Then,
Tippy takes a deep breath and hopes she remembers these steps right.
Pull the lever all the way down!
Bang! Tippy's thrown against the wall by a huge force. The entire engine layer shakes, with all sorts of strange mechanical noises ringing throughout the tiny space. That was the plate's waist jerking around, with every segment of the threads below now trying to respond to the change. The steel giant under her feet is now fighting its own immense and unstoppable inertia by steering sideways, trying to avoid the storm right up ahead. Tippy feels her teeth ache. She does not know if it will manage to turn in time, or how long it will take. All she can do is pray.
Even a little shift will do. We'll have a tiny chance as long as we don't hit the storm's core. It has to work. It has to work. I have to... see her one more time.
Miss Christine shakes her tails, jumping in front of the little Liberi to smell the changes in her mood. A brief relief after achieving her goal, along with confusion and pain from a friend's betrayal. But why is there also a hint of suppressed madness? No, that smell does not belong to the girl. Miss Christine jerks her head up, looking towards a place she cannot see. A companion who has been with her the whole time. Lucian feels sympathy towards the other person, which means he is currently experiencing twice the pain. Miss Christine is somewhat displeased. She cannot help but recall the night when the Crimson Troupe was destroyed, as Lucian sang, under the name Blood Diamond. It is no good omen.
How are you so calm, Lucian? Are you disappointed, unmoved by what I've done?
A mannequin pounces on him, While it is an inanimate object, Lucian feels a strong depressive aura that suddenly turns into elation and ecstasy. As Lucian touches the mannequin, the emotions turn into energy, forcing him backwards. Dalton. There is no doubt these are the feelings Dalton had right before his final rehearsal.
Why don't you fight back? Do you have that little interest in me, babe? But ever since you played the part of the messenger and spoke those lines about fate, I haven't been able to take my eyes off you.
Michael. The mannequin passes on Moira's emotions and she turns into Michael, the excessive yet artificial man who always wore his heart on his sleeve.
What kind of emotions are you hiding inside yourself? You let me feel fear and danger. So much danger.
Shelley. In the final moments of her life, the neurotic coordinator was completely wrecked by her own fear. Turning emotions into tangible energy, and any object that passes through your hands becomes a medium to release it. So these are your Originium arts. I see why he chose you, why he led you to become what you are now. A prop master, strings, puppets, all images born just for the stage. When you forget yourself, a person becomes a play.
Come, join in our performance, Lucian. If you're right and that man roused my ability, then as his real student you will make the best dance partner.
Moira laughs and cries loudly. 1,000 expressions flash across her face, filling the prop room with a suffocating energy. There is nowhere for Lucian to run. Fine.
What?
Moira, I will sing for you, as you wish. The Blood Diamond song is a kind of misfortune for both himself and the audience. It will rip my throat apart, sending pain straight into your ears, and you will either die or spend the rest of your life with its melody, reverberating in your mind. If you willingly ignore the truth in your hands, if you're satisfied by such falsehoods, if you can only approach him by destroying yourself, then allow me to relieve your pain and enter the stage once more. Moira hears a song. The emotions within flood into her, overwhelming even the song itself. She does not understand what Lucian is singing about. She only feels joy, fear, doubt, rage, hatred, and sorrow, 100 times stronger than her own. Before she is completely washed away by the emotions, she cannot help but think, what sort of experiences must one go through to understand such revelations? Or was he simply forced to learn it all within the despair of having nothing at all? Flashback.
Troop leader, Whiteflower is still waiting for us for the curtain call. Why have we come here? This is just a river. There is nothing here this time of night.
I'm afraid Whiteflower will be upset by tonight's sparse audience. For this river here is the final stage. Tell them, playwright, what does the revised ending look like?
The magician's assistant and the lucky audience member, who both died on stage, are stuffed into prop boxes and thrown into the river. Once the dust settles, they will wake up and emerge from the river under the stars. They use their story depths to distance themselves from their prison of nightmares. That's Blood, Diamond, and Abyss? Wait, didn't they return to the castle already? Why would they be here? Are they running away?
It seems our travel plans have been interrupted, Abyss.
What? How?
The magician's assistant and lucky audience member came back to life. This is true magic. With this crowd looking on, it would seem he's a fan of this new improvised ending. Let's go back. He's waiting for us.
Go back? We can still run, Lucian. Come with me. The river's wide enough, and he's far enough away.
If you choose to flee now, he'll let you go, but fear will seep into your bones and torment you for the rest of your life. I'll go back to him, learn all his skills, uncover all his secrets, and then destroy it all. For such is my wretched fate.
Fate? Are you sure it's not just proof that you've become entranced with the troupe, with him, once more?
If this is the pain and despair he has given me, then I will become his fate.
Somehow, you always understand him and his twisted aesthetics. Yet you never listened to me, or maybe you never really wanted to escape. You've spent far too long trapped in this nightmare. Fine then. I hope the Crimson Troupe's Blood Diamond will grant a former friend one less favor. Don't chase me. Don't come after me.
Let us part here, friend. We will meet again once this all falls to ruin. At some point, the black creature appears inside a prop room, nimbly avoiding Moira's body as she goes over to Lucian. With his knees bent halfway, and surrounded by mannequin parts scattered all over the ground, for once Lucian doesn't perform the gesture of a proper gentleman's salute to her. The lady is even more displeased by his actions.
You haven't sung in a long time, Lucian.
Apologies, Miss Christine. Did you hurry over here as soon as you could? Miss Christine flicks her tails without comment.
What a terrible scent. This Zala compelled you to use your arts, as well as these skills you were so determined to abandon. You do know what sort of situation you've put yourself into, yes? Chaotic, disorderly, uncontrollable, like a ball of unruly yarn I've yet to sort out. And you wish to face him, even end him, as you are now?
That is why I've come here, Miss Christine. When I stood up from the river, as Shalem continued to sink below, my mind was already made. This is the performance I've repeated the most. I cannot refuse, nor do I want to. Not until the true end comes.
Fine. Perhaps you will become a monster. Listen, Lucian.
Lucian stays still and does not look up. The lady sighs and her azure eyes light up like never before. She shakes her tails and her body splits into two identical figures. One walks into Lucian's shadow, while the other remains sitting before him, staring. Both Miss Christines speak in a staggered pattern, like a strange duet. This way, she ensures Lucian will hear every word she says.
To be honest, I much prefer Phantom. It implies nothing good, but it is a name you came up with yourself. Humans are so troublesome. Sometimes I miss the cafe where we met. Our emotions were much more complex and slovenly than they are now. But still far better than today. The bitterness of your obsession is making me want to sneeze. Go, meet him if you must. If you turn into a madman, I will devour all your emotions, no matter how hard they may be to swallow. If he ceases to exist, I will haunt him and figure out a way to make his life miserable. After all, he can't do a thing to me. Break a leg? Phantom?
Hurry! Hurry! Let me into the underground passage! Hey! Did a storm blast your eyes blind? Do you have any idea how long I've been in this queue? I ought to teach you a lesson. No pushing or shoving, people. The passage can only fit 2 at a time, so don't clog up the entrance and leave space for those behind you. There's still time to get everyone in. Miss Stone, the plate's western paths and outer guardrails have been destroyed by the storm. If this keeps up, we won't be able to hold out for long enough even in the engine layer. I sent people to move supplies in. If we can survive this calamity... No, I'm sure we'll make it through.
Miss Rutherford, you should hurry inside. The storm will tear your dress into shreds.
So this is the wind she felt.
Huh? What'd you say?
Nothing.
Didn't you go looking for tips to discuss the backdrop earlier? Where is she?
She seemed to have figured something out and took off. I couldn't catch up to her. And we're supposed to be adults. In the face of a catastrophe, not one of us is as cool-headed and brave as her.
Because she doesn't know what fear is yet. By experiencing and hoping through it and getting crushed by it, will she understand just how idealistic it is to keep going.
Is that not the difficulty and charm of film production itself?
Don't tell me you want to finish shooting this damn movie even now!
Miss Stone, the supplies are all underground now, and most of the crew too. Thank you, Houghton. You should hurry down yourself. Is there anything else? I asked around, and no one's seen the director ever since we started approaching the storm. A stagehand in charge of the west side told me earlier that the catastrophe destroyed not just the guardrails, but some buildings too. That's where Steven's studio is.
The storm showers originium dust all over the exquisite, dream-creating backdrops. In an instant, only the blackened skeletons of a dozen sets remain, slanted supports scattered all over the plate. Like a cage, crushed into pieces. Lucian pays closer attention to the wind, and it brings more voices. Shouts and sobs, scolding and cursing, sincere prayers and subconscious wailing. The hands of fate and the play staged by nature will not allow everyone time to take their positions. Lucian walks into the ruins. He sees a figure that absolutely could not have showed up right here, right now. The catastrophe shows no respect for the dreams crafted by man, and the storm has removed Lady DuPaul's manor from the scene, leaving only a grand staircase in its wake. Thick clouds lie low, but stage lights still shine onto the steps from afar, turning the ruins into a stage. A middle-aged man slowly walks up the stairs. He tugs on a curtain torn apart by the storm, trying to restore its neatness and beauty. Finally, his efforts pay off as the dirt and dust fall off the cloth, revealing its original shade of red. He grips a bottle in hand as usual, but is not at all a listless drunkard. He checks the stage right before the show begins. There is no one more dedicated to the work than him. Your habits haven't changed. Do you require assistance?
It's almost time, Lucian. You came at the perfect moment.
I know.
Not surprised.
Should I be?
Of course you wouldn't.
There is no way for a character who has bowed out with a real death to return to the stage. But this is your play, where all sorts of miracles occur. this is where the show begins, and where it should end as well. The playwright might remark on how ingeniously this play has been handled. Or perhaps he would muse on how perfect it all is. Because once you push aside all the theatricality, this is what I look like when officially collaborating with you again, after so many years apart. How is Abyss doing? Oh, my apologies. You are more inclined to call him Shalem, I believe. Traveling, gathering inspiration, disaster relief. In short, he won't be showing up here. Of course, the Crimson Troupe has long since ceased to exist, and I'm glad to see the both of you walk out from its haze. A new role, a new life, a new home. I see the company known as Rose Island has provided you many a revelation. But you? Why have you come here, child? Should I not have? Oh no! You are our most important individual now, as the curtains are about to fall on this new play. I'm already on the stage, after all. Of course, of course. The marvelous scene we saw at the opening of the show was all thanks to you and him. Dalton personally handed you the weapon that would kill him, and his death raised the curtains on this story. And you witnessed it all through his eyes. Lucian, surely you felt something was off the moment you held the knife. While I was relieved to confirm it, I'm also curious. Why exactly did you swing that blade with zero hesitation? Once an actor takes this stage, anything unexpected must become a part of the performance. Your lessons have been engraved into my mind, and nothing more. Troop leader. Long time no see, Lucian. AD-8. Take a bow. Lucian, my blood diamond, my child. Take the stage with me, bow for the curtain call, and let us live a new life together. My deepest apologies for ruining the play. If you are referring to how you dealt with the Moira girl, then you owe me no apologies, Lucian. With your intellect, I could only assume you figured out the original ending of the story. An old case from 5 years ago, and a catastrophe that arrives right on cue. Both the storm and the delayed judgment rain down on this plate. The Zalak, who once stood outside the story, slowly walks to the center of the stage and kills all those burdened with sin. Later, she comes to realize that everything she's done has been driven by delusion. She awakens, hollowed out, broken, and judges the last remaining soul, herself. And you? In the script, you are the messenger who happens to pass through, the insignificant newcomer to the cast. You are so far removed from the core conflict, yet in the end, you become the one who ties all the threads together. The more unexpected the coincidence, the more shocking it is when the inevitable unfolds. This is the allure of drama, something you and I have experienced countless times. So, you haven't ruined a thing. You've merely added to the performance. Just like what you've done for the troupe. I've suffered all manner of tragedy in my quest to find you. Naturally. The troupe's mark on the auction was insufficient proof of my existence, I suppose. Thankfully, after all these years, death, or rather destruction, remains the plot device you wield so well, the ending you so cherish. Child, oh child, how I wish you could appreciate its beauty. Do I? I wouldn't say I appreciate it, but I am very familiar with it. I've acted in so many plays, I've killed so many people, my hands are drenched with blood. That is the education and training I received in my childhood, the life you instilled in me. You are my best student, Lucian. Before the climactic finale arrives, let us review the performance so far. You and I know this routine all too well. The troop leader smiles and bows towards Lucian. His scepter, wrapped by his tail, points toward the approaching catastrophe clouds, like a pen dipped in ink. A familiar scene unfolds before Lucian's eyes. He knows he can't refuse. No, this is what he came for. Lucian gives a slight nod. First, we have Dalton. Originally, this middle-aged actor, who resembled nothing more than a walking corpse, didn't feel the scene was all that significant. He offered up what little lucidity he could muster, summoned the last rags of his acting instincts, recited his few remaining lines, and held out until the director called cut, all to earn just enough for another night of drinking. He has never mourned the actress who died because of him, nor reminisced about his once spirited past. He was not even ashamed of his current sorry state. You manipulated him. Indeed, without my intervention, he would never have taken it upon himself to retrieve the swapped knife and deliver it to you. But I never commanded him to put his chest up to the blade. By the time you were acting opposite him, he was already fully awake, fully aware of the danger he was in. Lucian, your talent shines just as brightly in film as it did on the stage. Your performance awakened his memories, reminding him of how great an actor he once was, of a time when he was immersed in his roles, expressing real emotions. Joy, sorrow, fury, and mirth. In that moment, the messenger slipped fully into character, while the looming threat of financial ruin warped Sir Dupont's thoughts. He had to cover up the truth. He had to do whatever it took to kill the person before him, without pausing to think that his own blade might be turned on him. You were right there with him. You know better than anyone just how intense his fear and anger were in that moment. As a farewell performance, it was nearly perfect. Indeed, Death's imminent approach did not frighten him. Instead, it ignited his competitive fire, which had long been dulled by drink. He performed with unrestrained zeal. It was exhilarating. Then there was Michael and Marion. The philandering actor and the shrewd costume designer were found hanging above their own set, their farcical romance laid bare for all to see. Their union was both shameful and absurd, a mess of indulgent desire, scheming ambition, mutual disdain, and mutual exploitation. There wasn't a trace of anything real about them, inside or out. That Michael, even his ears and tail were fake. Their deaths served no purpose, save for giving that camera assistant a juicy bit of gossip to peddle. But you, Lucian, you were at the scene. Even the cat could taste the lingering emotions left behind. When Moira knocked on the door, with the footsteps of death drew near, in that fleeting moment, where there was no time to think, I'm sure you know what each of them did. Tear stains. What a fascinating detail. Tear stains lingered in the corners of his eyes. None of the three Rockefeller brothers had ever shown Lady Dupont such heartfelt emotion. That fireman's axe was originally meant for Marion, yet Michael shielded her from harm, exposing himself to the blade instead. In the last moments of their lives, that man and that woman, who up to that point had been attacking each other, instinctively protected each other. They confirmed their true feelings for one another. Although this, by itself, is not worthy of praise.
You are correct, my child.
However, the audience had already taken their seats. What did they expect to see in this illusion of light and sound? Ultimately, these schemers will end up with nothing, while the hedonists are devoured by their own desires, yes? Naturally. It's the neatest kind of story, just an excuse to trot out well-worn platitudes. They would never imagine that a flawed, unworthy love could still be real, and still turn heads. Just as those two never imagined there would be a moment when they grew feelings for each other. Made possible by death. Made possible by death. And then, of course, there was Moira, the one I had the highest hopes for before you showed up. Moira rebuilt her faith through another's death. Every detail about Laura was etched into her mind. Her name, her eating habits, her unmistakable smile, her extraordinary life, her violent end, and the killers who still hadn't been brought to justice. Grief, anger, doubt, hatred, every emotion that rose within her set fire to a buried past, and to herself. She directed this entire performance. Why do you insist on downplaying your own role in all of this? It was you who inserted that ad-libbing, forcing a past that did not originally exist into her mind, bringing Laura into her life. Yes, and what of it? Look at her! She's dancing. You were her dance partner back then. You must have felt it. She isn't like the children from the Crimson Troupe who've been receiving White Flowers training since they were young. But when you look at her dancing, her physique, her tears, her smile, she is acting out a version of life, or perhaps crafting a kind of truth, or perhaps she no longer has any constraints and can be whoever she wants to be. She will dance through countless people's lives, their unending, until her mind and body can no longer bear the weight of those emotions. Or maybe she will finally encounter you, or some other fool seeking the truth, and one night finally awaken from her dream and end her own life. Regardless of her ultimate faith, her soul will be rich and fulfilled. Regardless of her ultimate faith, she is already no longer just a nameless prop maker from the frontier, no longer a Zalak with nothing and no one to hold on to. You're as talkative as ever, troop leader. It's been a long time since you've spoken about someone with such passion. Not since you, Lucian. I don't deny that I've exerted my influence on Moira. I encouraged her, just as I once encouraged you. My child, have you forgotten? If not for your thirst to perform, you would have died long ago. When that catastrophe drove you from your home, when you lost your parents, when you found yourself adrift in that towering castle among strangers, you said,
Only when I'm in character on the stage. That's the only time my loneliness disappears. The only time I feel like I belong.
you clung to that feeling, and it kept you alive. You and Moira, you're both natural-born actors. You both create sorrow and joy from nothing, and use those emotions to survive. No one can ignore your brilliance. And for both of you, my two children, Death shall be your teacher. Do you still remember when you hit that wall in your development? When you could not draw inspiration from anything and were unable to power your performance? That was when you thrusted Originium into your throat without hesitation. Then you felt the grip of death, of your inescapable fate. It gave you fear, jealousy, sorrow, anger, shame, and greed, emotions once foreign to you, and after witnessing all of these things, your heart has become a mirror. It fueled your desire to dismantle authority, your thirst for destruction. It gave you an endless night and a song that never ceases. It turned the unassuming Lucian into a gleaming blood diamond. Blood Diamond, my eternal moniker. Think of Dalton, child. Think of Michael and Marion. Think of Laura and Moira. Look at all these souls still struggling through the catastrophe, and look at yourself. You're right. Death is still the device I wield best, and the ending I've always favored. But I do not see death as destruction. It drives the mighty to disgrace themselves, the about to break their commandments, the pure to sink into filth, and the heroic to commit treachery. It gives strength to the dejected, compels the silent to shout their ideals, draws real emotion from the self-absorbed, and frees the timid from their inhibitions. It shows, climbs the next foothold, and gives the far-sighted the courage to leap. It turns self-proclaimed beacons into the real thing. It sows meaning and waters flaws. It cultivates truth and fertilizes falsehoods. It turns dying flesh into blooming flowers and engraves what would fade without a trace. It is agony without relief and no overflowing inspiration. It is drama's cause and consequence, its flesh and its soul, the great force behind creation, the law and tether that binds every ideology, every style, every exploration. It is the appointed end, where all things return to dust. The troop leader turns to Lucian, that same smile still lingering on his lips. The wind and sand howl around them, but he remains unfazed. Child, death is also our chance to reunite. What a shame. Quite a monologue, yet such little applause. Because I'm the only one standing across from you, and the only one who ever could. Noise sounds out from all directions, and Lucian listens intently. The catastrophe rages. Miss Christine lets out a low howl, something she would normally never do. Their newly acquainted companions scatter in panic, crying out for help in vain. As the troop leader said, death is unfolding on stage, what began with a few intense scenes has now taken over the entire production. You say death is our chance to reunite. I completely agree. So I won't waste this opportunity. If I may, I'd like to share a few thoughts of my own, now that you finished your analysis. After all, both you and I know this routine by heart. The storm snaps off part of the scaffold, sending a shower of sparks. A nearby rug catches fire, and the flames leap dangerously close to Lucian's side. But he does not even flinch. He stares intently at the person standing before him and removes his hat. All this time, ever since you reappeared, you haven't even mentioned the many times I've betrayed you. Why? Because that is unimportant. Because you are still you, child. Getting lost in madness, then returning to clarity, leaving only to later return. After all the trials and tribulations, a hard-won reunion is all the more precious. In the end, time can forgive all grievances. Is that so? I used to think the Crimson Troupe was your quill, your canvas, and your trap. I thought that in this chaotic world your audiences sought solace in your performances. I thought you were omnipresent and that no one could escape your grasp. Which is why the plan that I, Shalem, and the playwright came up with failed. Back then I was young, naive and full of pride. We believed we had seen the truth for what it really was, but our carefully planned escape turned out to be just another act in your grand play. In the end, Shalem fled from you in fear, while I came to you. You returned to my side. That was the moment when you decided to learn all of my techniques. You resolved to learn everything you could about the troupe, then use that information to destroy it. Your plan was to use death to stop death, and to use destruction to stop destruction. White Flower, Blade Dance, Shadow, the teachers you once learned from all died by your hands. As did I. I remember my voice, wild and cracking with rage, and the sudden warmth that surged from your chest the moment the blade went in. I thought I had destroyed the Crimson Troupe for good. And despite all that, I still failed. You didn't die. Because death is ever present, and drama is eternal. Eternal, yes, but after that, I devoted even more time to studying all your greatest works, including myself. I wore down your eternity, as any slow-witted disciple might. And at last I've arrived, once more stepping into your proud creation. A theater of death, of tragedy, of art. Now at last, the catastrophe has finished setting our final stage. Troupe leader, my dear teacher, or perhaps I should call you Tragodia. I am going to destroy everything that is yours. Lucian unfastens the inhibitor at his throat. The exposed originium crystal gleam, as if already rejoicing at the song to come. He offers the troop leader a deep bow, as the clouds behind him come crashing down. The flickering lights of the ancient castle, the bloodied corpses of the teachers, the hollow wind in the darkness. Forgetting all of that was not difficult. Until one day when Lucian, who has by this time become an assassin,
had a dream. He's still in the old castle, still in an empty hall, sitting alone, singing under the lights, with all the former members of his troupe standing behind him, as alive as ever.
Child, we cannot truly erase our pasts. There will always be traces of them.
Do you think I'm scared? No, I've simply finally confirmed that I've yet to fully tear out the ad-libbing you inserted into my life. In other words, you are still here. But you're correct. We cannot truly erase our pasts, and there will always be traces of them. So, to bring your story to an end, I've been walking the same path you once did. For all this time, I traveled across the entire land. Calais was a Gaulish border city. When the Allied nations suddenly turned on them, Calais was thrown under siege, yet thanks to its powerful cannons and the general hailed as the imperial standard-bearer, Calais held fast for months. The general stood atop the wall, refusing sleep, refusing rest, refusing to give ground. With their banners still flying high, even the various soldiers held the line. Until the unthinkable happened. The general's most trusted lieutenant opened the gates, a clear act of betrayal.
The Emperor of Gaul had given up on Calais, as by then its fate was sealed. The imperial standard-bearer had refused to surrender out of honor, and the trusted lieutenant believed he ought to stand by his general. After all, they had already braved so many life-or-death situations together over the decades. But he knew that holding the line would only lead to more bloodshed, that the city was doomed to become a graveyard. Perhaps that battle-worn soldier simply realized that although there was no perfect choice, there was a way that would allow him to atone for his sins. He persuaded the general, who had long since become exhausted, to take a 10-minute break. Then he seized his opportunity to open the gate. Before the Allied forces could enter the city, he drove his sword through his own heart. That traitor ended up being the most tragic casualty of the war. But that is ancient history now, Lucian. So ancient that many of the details have been long lost to the river of time. Victoria, Lithuanian. I spent months traveling between more than a dozen cities across different nations, and at last I found an aging vanguard on the brink of death. The guard had seen the towering flames of Calais with his own eyes. He had found a badge on the traitor's corpse. Two faces turned away from each other, one smiling, the other weeping. We all know what that symbolizes, dear teacher. Then I suppose you made the other discoveries as well? Even earlier in Laterano. Over 200 years ago, a brilliant cardinal was struck down by gun knights in the plaza in front of the basilica. He was intelligent and compassionate, known as the Sancta closest to the Lord. At just 30 years old, he was already widely regarded as the Pope's heir apparent. But then he changed. He grew radical, unyielding, unwieldy. He started preaching, rallying followers, and reaching out to foreign envoys, all in an attempt to check the Pope's authority. Until the situation deteriorated into a religious coup that threatened the entire city-state. The Pope was critically wounded, and the gun knights were deployed. The would-be usurper became the only cardinal in the history of Laterano to die during a coup. No one knows what exactly happened to him. At some point, in one of the Ecclesia Requietum, he had a chance encounter with a passing feline. But of course, that is hardly a lead worth chasing.
It must have taken some effort for you to uncover all this.
Indeed, it was quite troublesome.
I merely offered that Sancta a bit of truth. He was already terminally ill, you know. Unlike the incompetent Pope, who knew only how to interpret scriptures, his own zealousness knew no bounds. But with limited time, he might not have been able to put his ideals into practice, to hear the church bells ring in the new era. But in truth, the moment the cardinal struck down the Pope, he came to his senses. He realized that death had never caught up with him after all. His sudden clarity only plunged him deeper into madness. Faced with the ruin he had wrought, did he choose to walk willingly into the gun night sights? A microcosm of political tragedy, from which many of the troops' plays took root. What a pity, isn't it?
Iberia. It was during the glorious Golden Age. The lighthouses lit up an approaching ship, only for people to discover it carried nothing but whispering winds from the ocean depths. Ticket stubs stamped with the image of the twin faces were scattered across the deck, and they drifted along with the ship in silence. The lost sailors sing. Incite a young fowl to pick the fruit of pain. Amidst the spires of Lithanian, ancient arts recorded the nobles' laments and desperate cries. Exile an infant to arrive at joyful death. An encampment covered in thick snow.
Weeds walk their own path.
The city in the depths of the sands.
Through tears, falsehoods, and riddles, he leaves the bed of withered flowers.
You are everywhere. I followed the path you once walked, across the lands, encountering all manner of people and unearthing all manner of secrets, until at last, buried in ancient tomes and tangled rumors, I uncovered your name, Tragodia. However, the legendary Tragodia is a god, beloved by the people. He wears a crown of grapevines. He is both intoxicated and intoxicating. He bestows joy and grace. He greets the farmers as they bring in their yearly harvest, guiding them from wilderness to civilization through revelry and celebration. But the true god of wine is a deceitful caster, a performer, an ascetic, a schemer, a firebrand, a phantom drifting through the currents of history. A long-lived that defies definition.
Your perseverance astonishes me, child. Even more so than the painstaking devotion you once showed in your performances. And yet, when you look back at the path I've taken, shouldn't that be enough to affirm the purpose I've been chasing? As human affairs faded into obscurity, I found and built what I came to see as the ultimate vessel for beauty, the theater. I've lived long enough to see the very concept of theater become obsolete. At last, after tasting both joy and sorrow, I came to understand the precise conditions under which the most fervent emotions bloom. I founded the troupe, through which I've taught this knowledge to you.
Oh, really? That contradicts what I've learned from my research. Hasn't death always walked by your side? That grand theory of yours about death and destruction was never the result of hard-won insight. You simply believed in it and saw beauty in it, and so did theater. Let's set aside for the moment the brilliance of or depravity of human nature that emerges in times of desperation, and turn to some more fundamental questions. From Laterano to Gaul, from Iberia to Sargon, from the old castle to this catastrophe-stricken land, you've directed so many performances that shook the soul. So why have you allowed them to be lost to history? You don't want them to be remembered. You exalt the irrational and the unpredictable, so why must every story have the same ending? Ruin? Well, what do you think the answer is, child? Tell me. Because it makes everything and everyone unverifiable, both within the theater and beyond. Because it grants you authority, lets you justify yourself, and turns your so-called beauty into the only possible resolution.
Stephen! Stephen? If you're still alive, say something!
Greta?
You really did lock yourself up in your office.
What happened outside?
It's too much to explain right now. In short, the entire plate is on a collision course with the catastrophe, and everyone else has already evacuated to the power deck. Are you alright?
Yeah, something's wrong. The ceiling came down on my leg. I can't move. Ah!
I'll rescue you. Damn it! That broken column has sealed the door shut. It's really heavy. Just wait a moment. Stay with me. Keep talking.
Miss Stone, only now do I understand that I am in no way, shape or form a genius.
Huh?
That God came to see me. He hasn't abandoned me. He showed me a new way of thinking. Actually, he's always been teaching me. I like to think I make good use of my character's depths, of every desperate situation to nourish my stories. I did try that after all, in the death of Lady DuPont. Why else would it be called that? Laura from 5 years ago, and now Dalton, Shelley, Michael and Marion. Each of their deaths was steeped in drama, vivid, poignant, and all too real. Those fragments are like autumn leaves, crimson as blood, and scattered everywhere. Each one is enough to stain the blank canvas of my mind with vivid colors. But still, I can't write an ending that satisfies me. I still haven't figured out what kind of scene Lady DuPont's death ought to be. If death and destruction are the way of the god of theater, if they're the skills a true genius of the stage must master, well, I mean, I've never been able to learn them. I'm just a worthless hack.
For the love of Borjanin, how can you be so stupid?
Huh?
Stephen, the script auctions are anonymous. You know that, right? Dalton, Abner, everyone in the crew has been shaped by what happened 5 years ago. I brought them together on purpose. Well, you were the one exception. When I approved this outline for the script, I had no idea it was written by you. I simply felt, from the bottom of my heart, that the story of Lady DuPont, a woman trapped by her brother's lies and need for control, and tormented by the desires of 3 so-called suitors, was worth my vote of approval. I knew she'd be a great protagonist for an amazing story, whether she lived or died. I have never doubted my own vision. Hey, say something! What are you getting all melodramatic for while I'm out there hauling rocks?
So it turns out I just don't agree with
What are you saying?
Ugh, Sagat! So it turns out I just don't agree with the god's methods.
There we are. I did it. This place is about to collapse. I'll help you. Come on.
Wait, Miss Stone.
What now?
Rella helps hold Stephen steady as they both come to a stop, and he looks to the side. There is a wall, only half of it still standing. Faint remnants of vivid graffiti stand out harshly against the grimy, dim surroundings. It is the giant promotional mural Tippy had painted for the crew, and by some stroke of luck, the title card remains unscathed amidst all the wind and flying debris. The Death of Lady DuPaw. Stephen raises a blood-stained arm, and with considerable effort wipes away the first 3 words.
My God.
It's beautiful. Not even the most imaginative set designer in Wrankwood could have created a scene like this. Who's to say that ending a film shoot under the shadow of a catastrophe isn't, in fact, the most fitting conclusion of all? This isn't just a publicity stunt. I'm finding myself more and more impressed by Greta's resolve.
Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the power deck. It's way too dangerous out here. Hey, Melanie! Leading lady, where are you going? Have you gone mad?
Abner, you, all of you, never really believed this leading lady could make a comeback with this film, did you? You don't even think we'll finish filming it. Honestly, I feel the same. I mean, we don't even have the ending figured out yet, and this whole plate is about to collapse.
But that doesn't mean you have to die for it, does it?
The catastrophe is closing in. The howling wind is nature's roar, its fury written across the face of the clouds. But Melanie still walks forward to face it.
Who said I have a death wish? Who says Lady DuPaw has a death wish? Who says Lady DuPaw is meant to die under her brother's oppression, fell by the swords of the 3 Rockefellers at the hands of those onlookers who ought to curse her, humiliate her, drive her out? Must death be a symbol? She should instead, on a night no one could have foreseen, walk straight into a storm just as wild and chaotic as this one, leaving the prison of a castle behind. She shall not perish, because the storm is the chariot that will lead her to freedom. You must have realized, Abner, that on my journey I've always regarded Marianne as my imaginary enemy, yes?
Yeah.
But I know I'll never catch up to her. She was a true genius, born to inhabit any role she was given. Even fate itself seemed to orchestrate the final catastrophe just so she could exit this business in a blaze of brilliance. And I'm nobody special. An ordinary woman from a small town who traveled to Wrankwood and worked her way up role by role, film by film, for over a decade, gaining experience and recognition. That's why I care so much about seniority, status, and etiquette, the aspects of film set culture that so many scoff at, because that sort of recognition is the reward I deserve as an ordinary person. This land is quite cruel to ordinary people, Abner. Marianne's retirement gave me the chance to step into the spotlight, but it took only a single slip-up for me to lose everything I've gained along the way. My acting skills have fallen off a cliff. My reputation is in shambles. I've tried everything I could think of, but I just couldn't seem to get it back. It's ridiculous. I've never wanted to admit this, but it's true. If Marianne hadn't retired, I'd never have caught up to her. And right this very moment, this catastrophe is destroying the entire plate, along with my last hope. But couldn't you also say fate is smiling upon me? At least I finally have the courage to let go of my inhibitions, the courage to... At least I finally muster the courage to take this first leap. Come to me, Lady DuPaw, come with Melanie Rutherford, and dance together with the catastrophe, even if no one is filming us. What are you still doing here, Abner? Check camera? You didn't turn it on, did you?
What do you mean?
What if I'd gotten swept away by the storm? What if your camera had accidentally captured my death, just like before? The last thing I want is to belittle your work and to force you to once again resent the tool of your trade. You know, Abner, I've always thought you were dumb.
Hey, what do you know?
That footage you accidentally recorded back then at least stands as irrefutable evidence, ensuring that a girl named Laura wouldn't vanish from this land without a trace. Although I couldn't say if that's enough, meaning for it to meet your exciting standards.
Friedkin Kubrick, I am an idiot. This dream-making machine was only made in the first place because people wanted more eyes to see the land with. How long can you hold on, Melanie? I hope I don't break this thing. Let's finish filming! Can you see them? Can you hear them? Those still fighting to survive the catastrophe? Nothing ever truly comes from nothing, not even the most wondrous of art. And it is never death that suddenly awakens the lost or steals the timid. They always had it in them. So, answer my question, Tragodia.
Are you attempting to remind me that death would simply end this story, this performance? That there would be nary a trace left after the curtains fall? That I will have, objectively speaking, escaped any and all scrutiny and criticism of my work? That I am a thin-skinned artist? You really did find an interesting angle, Lucian. Perhaps what you say is right. Well, how are you going to change the ending that has already been written? That child, Tippy, really did adjust the path of the mobile plate, using only techniques she picked up from watching film reels. But the shift in its trajectory was insufficient. Nearly half the plate remains on a collision course with the storm. Lucian, you faced a catastrophe when you were young. You should know that one of that scale will destroy everything on its plate.
Lucian gently strokes the crystal on his throat. I haven't sung since releasing the inhibitor. Singing in his Blood Diamond song. The song that once lit up countless stages before dying out amidst the darkness of that old castle. Today it echoes once more. The sound passes through cracks in the ruins, and the catastrophe itself, ringing clearly in everyone's ears.
Singing with such total devotion? No. It seems that dreams can also be used as barriers. This is the first time I've ever seen you use your arts in reverse, Lucian. Are you trying to protect everyone with the voice that once brought pain to yourself and disaster to others? Are you trying to face this catastrophe alone?
Alone? No. You're here with me. Hold your scepter steady, Tragodia. From the moment I rose from that river and walked back to your side, from the moment I returned to the troupe and stood before you once again, I have only ever had one motivation. At the climax of every tragedy, there is always a fierce, cathartic battle, be it inside a palace atop a tower or beneath this ever-shifting sky. Let us finish this drama, where the student kills the teacher.
My favorite student, my best actor. Everything that is headed for destruction shall serve as your backdrop. I am so glad you can enjoy this moment. Even I can't help but be swept away in it. I've forgotten all other matters. But you should know that killing a long-lived is meaningless.
You just told me that I found an interesting angle. But it's not interesting, far from it. You aren't a thin-skinned artist. You've just been left with no other choice. It is not us who need to die, not the audience, not the common folk, bound by the laws of ordinary reality. It's you, Tragodia. You walked through history. You founded the troupe. You've created dreams from darkness. You've fed both me and Shalem with despair. You've drawn in lost souls, one after another, and lashed actor after actor. You taught us to feel pain, to learn evil, to be stained with blood, to sing of destruction. You taught us to dress for the stage, to wear a mask in life, to believe in what you called rebirth. You built a story and drew in the audience. You chose that Lateran Cardinal, that College General, White Flower, Blade Dance, Shadow, Dalton, Shally, Moira. You've chosen a million Lucians with which to bring about death. You exhausted its form, crafted its style, and perfected its meaning. Because it is all so far away from you. So far away. Long-lived, death is the one shore you will never reach. Director, death is the one performance you can never take part in. Tragodia, death is the one art you will never embody. All your aesthetics, your insights, your experiences, everything you pushed us to pursue has done nothing for you in the end. I once thought this brought you joy, but your sorrow has always outweighed your sense of accomplishment. If you yourself are the theater, then your very existence is a paradox. The ending is nigh, isn't it? Do you feel resentful or helpless? Do you find this funny or confusing? Or have you simply ignored it? Have you never felt the same pain that I have? Tragodia is uncharacteristically silent, his eyes fixed on the face in front of him that is lost in emotion. Lucian shouts loudly. The raging storm does not even distort his voice in the slightest. He sings and chants, while the originium crystals creep visibly along his neck.
Does it hurt, child?
Yes, of course it hurts.
If you keep using your art without restraint, it will kill you, child.
Are you jealous?
Perhaps, but your performance really is moving.
Lucian responds to Tragodia with even greater fervor. His surging emotions give him newfound strength, and at last he seizes the upper hand in their clash. In an instant, he plunges the scepter into Tragodia's torso. Pain is my blade, and at last I have driven it into the one who caused my pain in the first place. You!
The curtain must fall on every performance. Cycles will not help shape our so-called destiny. Child, I've just gained new inspiration. This story deserves to be continued.
The plane beneath their feet is swaying and shaking, but is starting to stabilize. People start to poke their heads out from the ruins and look at the receding disaster. They can hardly believe the catastrophe they have just experienced. Hundreds of broken masks drop to the ground as Tragodia slowly falls to his feet.
Lucian is sure that he has pierced Tragodia's heart and completed his grand murderous drama. However, he also notices a change in himself. These clothes, this scepter, this crown. Have you given me a new ad-libbing? The silver-white hem of his robe flutters in the wind, brushed by grains of sand, yet spotless as ever. Lucian silently studies the elegant garment. It is flamboyant and exquisite and fits him perfectly, as if it had been tailored just for him. He could walk into any festival or onto any stage in it, and it would suit him perfectly. It is as if this is the catastrophe's gift to him, his reward for slaying his teacher. The theme of this murder was clearly betrayal, yet at the last moment it became a passing of the torch. Lucian is silent. The fallen Tragodia has disappeared. Where he once lay, there is only blood and his mask. The dark red carpet extends upward along the steps without end. This is the path he was meant to walk, and it is now free of all obstacles. These thoughts spring to Lucian's mind from nowhere. So he climbs the stairs without lowering his head or looking back. Just then he hears Tragodia's voice. Lucian, you are the finest actor in the land. You have owned your craft well, and you use your powers of reason to grasp hold of the mask of emotions. You know well my origins, so it should be clear to you that you have not ended me by merely killing me. You shouldn't pin your hopes on a scene that was once performed in an ancient castle. Or is it that you were certain I would think this way and make this choice? It's all so interesting. Maybe you were right. Death is the one shore I will never reach, the one performance I can never take part in, and the one art I can never embody. Weeds walk their own path, through tears, falsehoods, and riddles. He leaves the bed of withered flowers. He writes his epitaph into the steering dust, waiting for the day when he gazes upon it. Death or destruction is the greatest gift you could ever give your teacher. But have you considered that what you now reject and what I left behind is only one of theater's countless possibilities, one of the many ways beauty can be defined? And therefore, that what you just killed was but one of my thousands of existences? Go on. Life rushes by, but the theater endures. The theater will never perish, and aesthetics will always change, so therefore I will always stand at the pinnacle of everything. The theater cannot be killed. I can only redefine it, replace one theater with another, overthrow all aesthetics with new. I can become the new one. The new you? If that is the only possible fate for the two of us, then I accept it. You see, Lucian, once again, we've entered into a tacit agreement. Continue forward, climb to the highest point on the stage. You shall wear the crown of performance. You shall wield the scepter of inspiration. You shall wear the years of performing and being performed. This process will only add to your pain, but you must accept it. Child, you shall walk from here with both my blessing and my curse. I have fulfilled the promise I made to you when we first met. I will never be an obstacle to you, or an obstacle to theater. This is my final gift to you. How much further can you walk? What other answers can you come to? Tragodia. Lucian does not answer, and the sound finally stops. He stands at the top of the stairs. The storm is far away now, and blood trails behind him. He loves this desolate scene. He loves the unformed arts in his body, and he stretches out all his pain. Then the new Tragodia sings his song. ADST3, a word to the audience. The curtain shall never fall. Columbia, Wrankwood outskirts, federal automatic prison 2 months later.
Molly, you've lost so much weight. I did spend 2 whole months in bed. I went looking for you once the plate stopped. When I saw Maddox carrying you out all covered in blood and you weren't moving, I thought you were dead. His singing voice is terrifying. But he only wanted to stop me. He didn't want to kill me. It definitely wasn't a coincidence that he bumped into Greta at the auction, like she said. He had another motive to join the film crew. And what was that? He was looking for something that exists, something that's always been with us, even though we know nothing about it. Okay, I knew he was a mysterious dude, but now I'm even more confused. But forget about him. I'm sorry for taking so long to come and see you, mostly because they make it a real pain to file a visitation application for this place. I know, Tippy. But I used you and caused others to misunderstand you. Lucian was right. I was ignoring the truth in my hands. In my final moments of madness, I didn't even think of you. Listen to me, Molly. No matter what you went through, no matter what your goal, you hurt the people who were by our side practically 24/7. You were a criminal, and I won't ever forgive you for that. But that doesn't mean I can't also miss the times we would crash on the sofa to watch horror flicks, just the two of us. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't it like, real? Yeah. When I was stuck in bed, my wounds hurt so bad I couldn't sleep. I kept recalling everything that happened. A whole night would pass, but only my pain was real. Honestly, it doesn't matter how absurd our story gets, or if we're all puppets of fate or whatever. It's not like I never had a choice. If only I'd focused more on the movies we were watching, instead of thinking about the truth I thought was real. Hatred, madness, blood, and puppets. I'm sorry, Tippy. If I'd met you earlier, maybe you wouldn't have even needed Laura. The final day of your trial is in 2 days, right? I talked to a few lawyers, and it seems like Don't let my ending bother you. The warden's nice here. He let me stay in the prison's logistics department during the last few days to make stuff the prisoners can use. I'm not living like I was before, merely waiting in vain for the finale. Good. Good. You're almost out of visiting time, so let's talk about the happier stuff. What happened to the movie we all shot together?
Columbia, Central Wrankwood, Avant-Garde Film Festival venue 1 day ago.
Wow, everyone's here already. Sorry I'm late.
Nervous, Steven?
A bit.
Relax. We shot that ridiculous finale and then it went to editing, color grading, and music production. Everyone did their best to complete production in only 2 months. I'm glad we agreed on the title change, Steven.
I should be thanking you again for your final performance inside a catastrophe. Otherwise, deleting those 3 words would have been nothing but pretentious navel-gazing.
Lady DuPont is by no means as attention-grabbing as the death of Lady DuPont, but let Greta worry about the marketing. There is no doubt in my mind that our new title suits the story best. Right, I'll handle it. I'll get Lady DuPont into theaters, then visit the police station to do what I have to do.
Pinch me! I'm not seeing things, am I? Pinch you? Just snap your shutter already! This is guaranteed to go onto the front page tomorrow! How did the niche AGFF attract such a distinguished guest? How much did the organizers spend? How many years has it been since Marianne Blake showed up in Wrankwood? Grandma Jara!
It's been a while, Tip. Judging by your outfit, let me guess what your role in this was, Script supervisor, prop master, stunt woman, or some kind of furniture city warrior?
Background painter, of course. I've been in this crew for over half a year and was even selected to join the Wrankwood studio plate restoration project last week. The plate our crew rented got totally wrecked by the catastrophe, so the boss put me in charge of the design work for once it's rebuilt, and I've been like so busy.
I see you finally figure out what you want to do.
I told you before, didn't I? I love movies, every last part of them. And now I finally found out what my favorite part is.
So, you don't plan on going back?
I think you could keep shielding me from the old man.
Tip, your grandfather may be an old friend of mine who used to be my finest partner in the industry, but that doesn't mean he'll let me tell him how to raise his grandkids.
Just tell him this the next time you have tea with him. We're all retired, aren't we, old chap? Why waste our time worrying about the little things? I know Tip didn't use any of your contacts, nor did she follow your plan to become a historical film director, but isn't she living it up in Wrankwood? Who knows? Half the backgrounds in town might be spray painted by your granddaughter one day.
Alright, I recorded all that. I'll play it for him the next time we meet.
Aw, Grandma Jara.
Fine, but I might not have the time to see your grandpa the next time I'm in Colombia.
Oh yeah, did you go all the way to Rimbilliton for some fresh air? Did you come back for Rhinelab stuff?
That's too many questions, Tip. Once the screening's done, I have to head over to Max DC to see the Vice President. So, at least let me have a chat with an old friend, will you? Long time no see, Marianne. Just call me Jara. After so many years away from the silver screen, Marianne sounds like a stranger's name to me. Either way, I have to thank you, Jara. I'm sure you know that given my current reputation, I don't have much of an influence in the industry anymore. So without your help, the AGFF would never have allowed Lady DuPont as a late submission. It was my pleasure. Though I must say, I had no idea that Tippy was actually... I would have helped you with or without her. I just watched the part with the catastrophe and felt it'd be such a pity for the audience to miss out on the actress's performance, so I thought I'd do an old friend a favor. But even if Lady DuPont gets free marketing at AGFF, that doesn't always translate into box office numbers. Melanie, you know better than I that if Wrankwood were a person, he would be the most forgetful and least tolerant person there is. It's no guarantee that he'd accept a lover running back into his arms. Besides, you did destroy an entire plate. Even if the film's a smash hit, you might not make enough to pay for the damages. At least I did it, and I have no regrets. But rather than mulling over all that, I'd like to, ask you a question. Go ahead.
When you encountered a catastrophe while shooting the eternally shining star, the camera caught you as the storm nearly missed you. Was it just an accident, like you said at the press conference, or, did you also move toward it of your own will? Is the answer to that still important to you, even now? No. It sure is hard to say if I really did beat you in the end.
The splendidly dressed female lead laughs heartily before every camera in the room, though she does not even know what she's laughing at. After a long time, she opens her arms toward her former rival, the genius she always thought she would never catch up to, the one she had always exchanged polite greetings with on camera, for a hug. And it is returned in kind.
Let's head in.
Melanie Rutherford as Lady Dupont. Michael as the three Rockefellers. Dalton as Sir Dupont. Lucian as the Messenger. Producer, Greta Stone. Director-Screenwriter, Stephen Quay. Coordinator, Shelley. Art Department, Carl, Bob, Tippy, Jericho. Production, Abner, Leo. Costume Department, Marion. Prop Department, Moira. Stage Department, Houghton. It's over?
Yep.
Thoughts on the film?
I heard about what happened behind the scenes. The murders, the catastrophe, even the project management was a mess. So before I sat down to watch it, I thought the film couldn't possibly live up to all of that, but an absurd noble's marriage breakdown ending with a catastrophe. The plot twists made sense, but so many of the characters were just bizarre. It's hard to say if it's good or bad, but it's a lot to chew on.
Same, to be honest. Story aside, even the production was pretty controversial. Like, the cinematography is inconsistent at times. The first part was shot meticulously like a serious historical drama, but it becomes rougher and rougher towards the end, especially the catastrophe scenes, where it's totally filmed like a documentary. It's definitely going to be polarizing. The fans will rate it highly, while the haters are, going to hate it.
But that's what makes it interesting, isn't it? Wrankwood's been getting more and more boring over the years, and that goes for AGFF films too. But this one? I'd buy a ticket to Lady Dupont.
Let's see what the director and cast have to say during the post-screening roundtable. Oh yeah, I heard that unlucky-looking gal in the front worked on it too.
Oh boy, my luck is awful. After a month of applications, I finally landed a spot as their last stagehand, but then all of that happened the moment I arrived on set. I had lost so much sleep after running into those corpses. And if it weren't for the insomnia, I wouldn't have kicked the wall with my mind all messed up and broken my leg when I was trying to follow everyone down to safety when the catastrophe came near. And if I didn't break my leg, I wouldn't have missed the bus and missed the first half of the screening.
The unlucky stagehand mutters to herself as the credits roll. She recalls her experience and cannot help but feel sorrowful about it all. Even the images on screen feel strange to her. The familiar faces and scenes have all been assembled in a way she cannot understand. Just like her topsy-turvy life. Then she spots her name at the end of the credits.
Stage Department, Houghton.
No matter how the hand of fate may change, it will eventually leave a line, a truth you believe in. It's over.
Are you taking part in the post-screening roundtable?
I'm not with them. Besides, the two of you are here.
True enough. Yes, it was wonderful, be it the film itself or otherwise. Lucian?
Hmm?
Is he dead for good this time? Or is he still alive somehow?
I'd have to think about that. But all you need to know, Shalem, is that you won't have to worry about shadows from the past invading your dreams, even when you're on Rhodes Island, ever again. And playwright, you may write your scripts as you wish, about any topic, in any style. The Crimson Troupe is no more. You two are free.
And you? You just said you'd have to think about his ending, which means you're stuck on that path, correct? Drama never dies. So is the one sitting beside me right now no longer Blood Diamond, but Tragodia? It sounds like you've paid a heavy price, Lucian.
I wouldn't say so. If our previous attempts at escape or revenge were just scripts for us to follow, then now we can finally step into the future. I will travel again, sing and perform again, until I am certain that what I create manages to match my joy and pain. It could be a new troupe, or a new proposition, new adventures and new stories, or a more dazzling tomorrow, a more tragic truth.
Hey, Shalem. We're all buddies here. Would you like to lend him a hand? Lucian, are you sure about this?
Of course. Those who've lost themselves in their haste, the ascetics who've closed off their senses and their selves, the lay people who trudge through both highs and lows, and the creatures who chew on their pain. This land has never lacked for actors. So I welcome you both to join the troupe.
Alright then, and that is the end of the story for now. But before we head into the outro section where I'm going to be talking about the story and everything like I said at the beginning, we do have one more thing to check out and see and hear a bit about the post-story after Act or Die has ended. So, let's proceed into Tragodia's File and see what that teaches us. Alright, Operator Phantoms, or rather Operator Tragodia's full file. Let's see what we can learn about the post-Act or Die story, some foreshadowing maybe, and who knows, maybe something else as well. But something that immediately jumps out the moment you start reading this thing comes from the basic file, and it says codename Phantom despite the fact that he is now Tragodia. But that obviously has reasons, and the file itself will kind of elaborate a bit more on that, why it's still Phantom in the files. Anyway, we continue. Gender male, combat experience 11 years, place of birth Victoria, date of birth January 19th, race feline, height 185 centimeters, just 4 shorter than me, infection status, showed physical signs of originium infection confirmed by medical examination. Physical exam, physical strength, standard mobility, outstanding, physical resilience, standard, technical acumen, excellent combat skill, excellent, originium, arts assimilation, outstanding. Profile. Previously an independent assassin employed at Rhodes Island as a specialist operator. Operator Phantom has achieved his original goal for joining us by the time he returned from his stint as a Wrankwood actor. After discussing with the doctor, he has agreed to continue his cooperation with us, providing support for nearby Rhodes Island offices on his travels throughout Terra. So yeah, pretty much like stated at the end of Act or Die, Phantom, aka Tragodia, will be pretty much globe-trotting as when for some time potentially, and he will be stopping by some Rhode Island offices along the way. Anyway, clinical analysis. Imaging tests show the indistinct outlines of internal organs, obscured by abnormal shadows. Originium granules detected in the circulatory system. The subject is confirmed to be infected with oribophy. Cell originium assimilation 17%. This was originally 14 on the previous file. The originium crystallization around Operator Phantom's neck has increased. Further progress of symptoms may result in the loss of vocal facilities. Continued monitoring is necessary. Blood originium crystal density is 0.45 units per liter. That was originally 0.35. Recorded following Operator Phantom's exposure to an originium storm in the wilderness outside Wrankwood. Medical will continue to monitor his condition to prevent it from deteriorating. He used unstable arts while exposed to high concentration active originium dust? Is he out of his mind, or is this how they shoot movies in Wrankwood? Yes to the first part, no to the second one. Anyway, Archive File number 1. After our operator station in Wrankwood returned to the ship, everyone learned that one of our colleagues was about to make his silver screen debut. The most common reaction among our operators was, "Who's Phantom?" As a free-roaming assassin, Phantom's missions have taken him all across Terra, and he rarely came into contact with other operators at Rhodes Island, although the news of his film debut has finally put to rest the rumors that he is nothing more than a Rhodes Island urban legend. If he can be caught on camera, then he definitely exists, right? He's not a shadow or a ghost. Several months later, the producer Greta Stone sent us the final cut along with an NDA prior to the film's release, as a token of appreciation for the assistance we rendered to the crew. The Doctor and Closure took the opportunity to hold several viewing sessions, hoping to satisfy our operators' curiosity regarding both Wrankwood and Phantom. After the viewings, however, many operators expressed that far from learning more about Phantom, they now find him even more of an enigma. There are many mysterious legends of Wrankwood: an action movie star who always wears an iron mask and never uses stunt doubles, a prodigy actress who retired promptly after her first film became a smashing success, a director who never shows his face but whose films regularly foreshadow changes about to occur on Terra. Astute operators have noted that Phantom seemed to tell two stories in the film, one of which was the film's plot, and the other was his own story. Legends about Phantom were all the rage for a while. Operators who have worked with him in field missions are unable to recall any information about him, and curious HR operators were unable to find any files on record. Even though Miss Christine shares tidbits about Phantom with her followers, those operators who cling devotedly by the lady's nap spot at the windowsill, and Shalem patiently describes their past together as trainees at a theater troupe. Those seeking an answer seem to enter a place between reality and fiction, and are unable to piece together a complete picture of Phantom in their minds. That is, until a logistics operator excitedly announced that he had the answers to all of the questions after speaking to Phantom in the corridors for an hour. The obscure operator suddenly became the center of attention. Everyone who heard the legends had their own image of Phantom and were eager to unveil his secrets. It took 20 minutes for someone to realize that something was wrong, and by that time the young operator had gone from describing his own hometown in Casimir's to his current emotional troubles. So, what's the answer to all of the questions that you were talking about? The meaning of my existence, the path I've walked and the path I'm going to walk. Lucian didn't say much, but I understand everything now. Enough about yourself. You didn't forget to ask what happened to him, did you? Of course I asked. Well, what did you find out? About Lucian, Hey, what exactly did I ask? So yeah, very interesting. Here in the very first file we already see that he is pretty much using the Tragodia powers that he inherited, where he can manipulate people's memories to talk to people, but at the same time he kinda erases his presence, or not really erases his presence, he kinda obscures people from remembering fully in detail, almost like it's a dream, right? Like they went through a dream and don't really remember what was in the dream, but they remember they vividly had some encounter, something happened, something was there, someone was there, you talked to him, and who was it? Very interesting. Anyway, we continue. Archive File number 2. As one after another curious inquirer into Phantom's past came up empty, a consensus began to form. Whether he simply did not want to be pried into, or if he really did have a secret that cannot be revealed, Phantom is one of the most difficult entities on Rhodes Island to perceive and comprehend. When the Wrankwood craze had cooled, there was only a cold, eerie blackness left behind of the mysterious shadow that once floated in the limelight, one that few dared to approach. As a matter of fact, opportunities to come into contact with Phantom are not as rare as many think, and such encounters do not always take place in some shadowy corner. He often initiates contact when he feels the need. A veteran medic said she once saw Phantom in Noel's eyeglasses fitting room, and was surprised to find Noel teaching him to polish lenses. There's no problem with Lucian's vision. In fact, his night vision and dynamic visual acuity are well above average. The reason he came to find me was... Noel paused, seemingly unsure why exactly Phantom had come to see him. He has taught many people the art of lens making in the past, and those with special talent are able to quickly catch up to his methods, while young people with innovative minds look for other tools to increase efficiency. Laymen who come only for the experience or on a whim quickly stop moving their hands and start observing Noel in boredom. In that regard, Lucian acts like a pure, overly serious apprentice. He carefully picked the right polishing materials and was meticulous about rinsing the lens to prevent overheating of the edges. For a few moments, Noel almost believed this mysterious stranger would inherit his lens-making responsibilities. But when Noel told Lucian he was ready to move on to the next step, Lucian continued to admire the gleam reflected in the lens's edge, seeming unconcerned that he had already spent many hours in search of perfection. Few people are so focused on wasting time, unless he already has a clear goal in mind, or an eternity to waste. They talked about little more than craftsmanship and day-to-day life, avoiding anything associated with the legends, but Noel noticed that Lucian subtly steered the conversation in a different direction whenever it seemed they were about to talk about Noel's family or his experiences in Victoria, as though he already knew everything there was to know about Noel's most important experiences. I'd never seen him before the day he walked into the fitting room, but I can tell that our secrets are alike. I know the way to break my own curse. For his part, it seems he's enjoying the process of breaking it. I hope I'm wrong. So yeah, this puts a very interesting timestamp as well. First off, Phantom, after he achieved immortality or got given immortality from Tragodia to himself, which is now pretty much confirmed with this part here, completely, came to Noel as he figured out and realized in some way or shape or form that Noel is a immortal as well. For people who have not seen, encountered, and heard about Noel, well, first off, he's a playable operator. I think most people know that. At least if you know the roster of playable characters, of course. But Noel is, or rather was, up until recently, a immortal as well. But not to go into detail, and I implore anybody to go into details as well about it, because that is main story, pretty main story spoilers for certain things. But yeah, Noel was immortal, but he was not immortal by choice. And in a very recent story edition, he finally broke his curse. He is not immortal anymore. But I'm bringing that one up because this pretty much dates the story as to when Act or Die is taking place. The ending of Act or Die has already kind of put a time step on the whole thing, I would say, because it covers Jara returning from Rimbiliton and meeting the vice president, then going back to her position in Rhinelab, essentially. So that pretty much puts a time step on when Act or Die is taking place, pretty much before the Londinium story starts taking off, which is towards the end of the year in chapter 10. The year I skipped the year. The year 1098, essentially. And yeah, it's before Chapter 10. Chapter 9 is its own little small thing, kind of like a lead-in, but Chapter 10 is pretty much where the time frame begins and just keeps going until the end of Chapter 14, and then we get a little bit of extra detail and extra information and closure on certain events in the post-story collection of See You Soon, which is where the Noel story kind of finds its conclusion. But yeah, TLDR, Act or Die is taking place before Chapter 10, essentially. And considering that we already know that Lone Trail is taking place after the events of Act 2, that also puts a time step on that. So there you go. that's your time window. Anyway, Archive File number 3. Illegal operations, serial murders, and an encounter with an Originium storm. Operator Phantom's experience at Wrankwood would put most blockbusters to shame, and he found himself in extreme danger. It's been a full month and Phantom's blood Originium crystal density hasn't improved one bit. He should be completely bedridden according to the Originium treatment handbook, so how is he still walking around? Phantom's previous doctor Ansel expressed his concerns. I'm not sure why he refuses to cooperate with his physical examination. Fortunately, Dr. Warfarin has taken over, and some of his medical files have been sealed. I'm sure he'll get better. So yeah, again, I haven't brought this one up in a long while, but just as a reminder, a blood crystal density of 0.45 units per liter with 17% crystallization is very high. This is where people start to die. This is where people essentially start to die, but well, he's kind of immortal now, so that doesn't affect him anymore, right? Anyway, continuing. Medical interview log. Confidentiality level confidential. Subject Lucian, interviewer Warfarin. I'm sure you know better than I do what strange changes have come over me. The progress of the infection due to exposure to the Originium storm, the expansion of the crystals on my throat. But their danger has been nullified. You could even call it a medical miracle, but the secrets of life and death are not my concern right now. At least not from a scientific perspective. To get straight to the point, I've been granted more time. Am I glad? No, I don't see time as a gift. There may not be an answer to what I seek for centuries, millennia, or perhaps no single answer at all. Which is painful, yet fascinating. And all I want to do is leave behind the theaters of man and head to another kind of stage. It's better for everyone on the ship. The doctor has sealed the reports on the Wrankwood incident, and you've increased the access level required to view my medical files. I can sense that some operators harbor doubts about me. Singing a song that manipulates hearts, inheriting a set of extravagant robes along with his staff, having Miss Christine by my side, mysteries can be lethal. I cannot guarantee that no one will be dragged into it. Drama is a human construct. It needs both a creator and a performer, and it needs an audience even more. I don't want what I do to be self-entertainment. My drama is a failure if it is nothing more than self-gratification. To break free from one's pen, I must face this newly free self, and the pen and paper that have been forced into my hands. Death and destruction. The doctor was concerned that I would once again come into contact with the aesthetics of obsession and deviation. But they are natural inspirations that I cannot avoid, nor will I attempt to circumvent them. Drama has always had multiple answers. We will not speak again for the next 6 months. I will leave this place for now to find an answer to my drama that belongs only to me, to find a way to understand this land. Perhaps it is hysteria, or perhaps madness will bring truth and enlightenment. Do you feel the same way? Are we still part of a story? Prejudice, conflict, the unsolved secrets of Terra. If the troop leader is but another character, I want to know what the true author wishes to write, and what I can write, even if it is futile, even if I will never wake up again. So yeah, interesting insight into the whole thing. As stated, again, he has been granted more time, as he was made immortal, essentially, it seems, and he's gonna search for stuff around Terra to search for the true author of the story and stuff like that. Pretty much you could say that he already is kind of on the path of sniffing out Priestess, potentially. in a sense, but we'll see about that. But yeah, as he says as well, we will not speak again for the next 6 months, which means pretty much gives the idea of, yeah, he was gone for the entirety of the rest of Act 2, from chapters 10 to the end of chapter 14 and some of the post story after the events of the war in Londinium. So yeah, he was on his own little adventure somewhere out there. Anyway, we continue. Archive file number 4. At first, the items that arrived on the office desk of the archives department were thought to be a prank. Old gold coins, banners scorched by the fires of war, rubbings of ancient murals. They came from many different eras and places, the only commonality being a certain mark found upon them. As these unclaimed pranks accumulated, people started becoming superstitious and began doing whatever they could to avoid the night shift, until the doctor reminded them that it was Phantom who left these mysterious tokens. Most common among these ancient scraps are tomes that depict the legends of Tragodia from across Terra, the earliest being centuries old. The description of Tragodia varied widely between cultures. In some, he is the god of harvest, love and joy. In others, a deranged hedonist who created drama and the arts. More recent volumes call him the deceitful ghost. Even expert archivists have difficulty piecing together a complete picture from these fragments, but Phantom managed to deduce what the predecessors of the Crimson Troupe was, and the identity of the troop leader. It is hard to imagine how much time he spent studying the origins of the troop in search of an answer, or an opportunity for revenge. The changes that have occurred in Phantom since his return from Wrankwood indicate that it is not a hatred of being manipulated that drives him to seek the truth. Perhaps his natural inclinations and obsessions have caused him to surpass the boundaries of right and wrong, viewing his past experiences from a brand new angle. In order to validate some of these records, the Archivist Department wanted to invite him to discuss the origins of some of these objects, but were unable to locate him on the ship. Perhaps in his eyes the curtains have already fallen and the actor should leave the stage, or perhaps he simply didn't want to make a subjective judgment on an event that he experienced personally, causing both the tokens and the identity of Tragodia to once again become a dangerous private collection. If you ask me how the processor of these mysterious records would view the relationship between Phantom and the legend of Tragodia, whether he has inherited an identity that cannot be explained by modern science, or whether he has yet to escape his nightmare, I would answer from a different angle. Whatever Phantom's present identity is, he is no longer struggling with pain. Perhaps there is a mysterious unknown side to the words he has left unspoken, but he has been willing to share the results of his decade-long search. Perhaps he will repeat the mistakes of the past and make radical choices for his heart's desires, but he has given us a chance to understand him and to stop him. If he has chosen to trust Rhodes Island, then we should repay that trust. Signed by an Archivist Department operator. So yeah, this file is very self-explanatory, pretty much a show of trust, like the file itself says. He gave all of the clues that he collected over time of Tragodia to the Archivist Department, because they are pretty much indirectly also showing the weakness of Tragodia, showing the weakness of his immortality and how to potentially beat it, but at the same time he's unwilling to say anything specific about it, like verbally say anything himself. He pretty much wants, I feel like, people to uncloudedly look at those clues and figure it out themselves and deduce essentially what needs to be done just in case something goes wrong and he goes down the same path as the original Tragodia went. He pretty much gave us the gun to stop to stop something from happening. Anyway, we finish off with our promotional record, and it says, "Note found at the end of our Rhodes Island corridor. It is the end of the day. You finally have the time to organize the files on the Wrankwood incident and fill out promotion paperwork for a certain operator. The task leaves you somewhat troubled. Out of both duty and sincere concern, you must assess the significance of Lucian's dreamlike state with precise language and a predetermined conclusion. You find this note at the end of a corridor as you leave your office to clear your mind. You attempt to put on a calm face, but cannot prevent the hairs on your skin from standing on end. You are curious who wrote these words. The nightmares of olden days that Lucian has spoken of, a rift caused by the compression of higher dimensions. Or has your life become an element in the work Lucian is conceiving? You have heard his midnight murmurs and whispered songs, but the fragments dissipate with song when you attempt to understand his thinking and the words he wrote down. Some advice, friend. Abandon logic and reason, and forget mundane definitions. Do not expect this note from nowhere to answer all your questions about Lucian. Just as I cannot explain to you in words all the interpretations of works, the creations of fictional characters, and the performances of drama that have existed since the beginning of art. You recognize me, didn't you? I do not simply exist within his identity or pseudonym. This two-person play, that is as long as fate, has made me part of him. It was not my original intention, but a pleasant surprise that he has brought me. Be happy, and let yourself sink into his story." And that is where the file ends. Very interesting ending there. Plus, I do love the slight fourth wall breaking throughout the whole file as well. That is very present. But yeah, interesting note there at the end. You recognized me, didn't you? I do not simply exist in his identity or pseudonym. So yeah, I would say the note was left behind by Tragodia himself. And it's very interesting. Obviously, the two-person play that is mentioned here is the play between... Considering that it's obviously signaling the Tragodia name and everything, it seems that Tragodia is pretty much just saying stuff about himself and his relationship with Lucian and stuff like that. But yeah, he's technically, I guess, part of him now. I wonder, because they never really specify what happened there at the end, but the suggestion is either option A, Phantom was given in some way, shape, or form immortality by Tragodia, while Tragodia is just somewhere in the background of everything, observing what is happening, or option B, the immortality was given in a way of Tragodia merged with Phantom, which is very interesting. We do know from the long-lived ones that they technically do not need a physical body to go around. The physical body that they are inhabiting might just be, from all we know, might just be an illusion that we are seeing. A tangible illusion, but an illusion nonetheless. So it's very interesting. I was also, the first time I was reading, I will not lie, the first time I was reading the last quote, I almost thought like, huh? Are they suggesting that Priestess found root in the guy? No. That would make no sense. She doesn't give really a shit about the people of this world, as we know at this point. Yeah, very, very, very interesting note. But also very interesting because Tragodia, the actual Tragodia, seems to be addressing the Doctor directly, which just leaves me with the impression that Tragodia at some point, the original Tragodia, potentially knew the Doc, or maybe he's just speaking from the perspective of considering that he has been around for a long while and has observed the world of Terra like the other long-lived ones have. He might have already known about the dock, in a sense, like he has seen the dock's past or been there around the past as well, and seen what happened all those thousands of years ago before the long sleep occurred. But yeah, I don't know. It's left up to interpretation, like a very good story would, and I kind of like that. So yeah, that is the full file for Tragodia. For the voice file, I will leave a link in the description, like I did in a prior story as well. For those of you who wanna watch and listen to it, it's gonna be a link to the video from Dylan Orevs if you wanna listen to the voice files of Tragodia. But for now, we go into the outro. And that would be everything to our story for Act or Die. Like I said before, there is also Miss Christine's operator record that I have already ages ago at this point uploaded to the channel, but it doesn't really do much for this story. But for those of you who want to watch it, I will leave a link in the description of the video, and you can see what's happening in it. It's just a little kind of theatrical piece of a story that may or may not be true that involves Miss Christine. It is entertaining, but it is very theatrical. Maybe the theater kids amongst you guys are gonna enjoy that one, because it really goes hard with that, with the whole like theater stage drama part. But yeah. It's an interesting piece about Miss Christine, and potentially something to do with her actual past as well. I mean, it's not really far-fetched considering it's depicting like how people viewed mystical animals and how they worshipped them in the far-off past. I mean, even to this day, people still worship animals. Have you seen TikTok and Twitter? Oh boy. But yeah, anyway, Act or Die. Very interesting story from start to finish. I was actually very positively surprised realizing at the beginning of the story that this is a murder mystery. But also, before we get furthermore into this, there was quite a lot of references to a lot of stuff, and I'm happy that I wasn't the only one who was taking notes. In the beginning of the first part, I did forget to take notes, considering I noticed a shit ton of quotes and references to other media, essentially movies, series, stuff like that. And I'm happy that some of you, or specifically one of you, has been taking notes and compiled lists on parts 1 and 2 of this series for all the quotes and potential quotes as well that exist in there. So first off, thank you to at Kakyu Kuzuki 2001, who compiled in the previous 2 parts very extensive lists of quotes and references to things. So I would like to go over those very quickly before we continue, just to showcase to everybody how much there was. And by the way, considering that this part I obviously cannot showcase anybody's quotes and stuff like that who compiled a list, I only have a couple of reference points that I found that I recognize. So again, to anybody who is gonna be watching this, even you, Kuzuki, if you're gonna be watching this, of course, do compile a list again, because I'm curious what I missed. Because there's definitely something. But all in order, in part 1, the list that was compiled begins with the background image being Twin Peaks, like the red said, being essentially Twin Peaks. Then we have Greta Stone, one of our characters, who looks to be a combination of the names from Greta Gerwig and Emma Stone. Interesting. Then we have Melanie Rutherford, who again is a combination of Melanie Griffith and Anne Rutherford, potentially. But perhaps even, as stated here, Miss Dupont, aka Patricia Hannon. Alright. Stephen could be a lot of things here. Could be Stephen Quay, pardon, which is I think he was a prop artist, if I remember. It's been like 2 weeks since I looked that name up, but I think it was a prop artist, if I remember correctly. And of course, it could also be Steven Spielberg, or just a mashup of names again. Steven Spielberg is the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw the name Steven on a director. Then we have Shelley, who perhaps could be, as stated here, Shelley Duvall. again, Steven, or rather, beginning with quotes then, Steven with the Hitchcock quote for Alfred Hitchcock, Abner with the quote for Ford, which is potentially Harrison Ford, Tippy with good lord, that little pipsqueak cannot shut up, but yeah, the box of chocolates thing from Forrest Gump, then the famous Shining quote, all work and no play, of course. And of course, Clever Girl, which is the Jurassic Park quote from the very first Jurassic Park movie. Very, very good movie. The rest of the series, questionable. The second Jurassic Park movie was still good. Good lord. But anyway, on part 2, the movie references, or rather references in general, were beginning this list here with Jack D. And I still think it's a mistype or someone just forgot another RE in there. But anyway, thank you for spelling it out properly, in my opinion at least. Jack the Liberi Ripper. Of course, Jack the Ripper. I mean, that is kind of like the obvious thing. Then we have the Wrankwood Academy Awards, which is of course the Academy Awards in general, the Oscars. Dalton, possibly Timothy Dalton or Rick Dalton. This is, again, this could be also from part 1, I guess in that case. Then we have Michael, which could be possibly a reference to Michael Massey, who was involved in an on-set death as well. Or Michael Douglas, a very charming guy, as you stated, indeed. Laura's death could be a reference to the death of Brandon Lee on set. And of course, the death of Dalton could also be, like you stated, be a reference to the death of Brandon Lee on the set of the film for The Crow, wherein, again, as you wrote here, the actor for The Crow was essentially he was essentially killed by a live bullet, which is I don't remember. I think there was a whole investigation, or rather there was a whole documentary about how that came to be, but yeah, the guy got literally shot on set by a gun that was supposed to be loaded with like a blank or something. How? I don't know. Look, I don't even know why the gun was real in the beginning. To be fair, the whole gun could have been just fake. Could have literally been a prop firing blanks, and you do stuff in post then. But I don't know why they had a real gun. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much that about that. Then the Kubrick and Grip thing is pretty much a reference to Stanley Kubrick. Lupacarn Holiday is very interesting because that one piqued my interest, and as you said, maybe Christmas Holiday, but there is also a more apt title, but a Western Germany production called Holiday in Tyrol. Well, Lupacarn in Tyrol, after all. Could be, yeah, because of the Lupacarn thing. They are kind of tied very well to Leithanien, but also to Syracuse, so I don't know. But anyway, the next one is the picture of Erin Daz. Probably one of the movie adaptations of the picture of Dorian Gray. Continuing then with the Bridges of County March, the Bridges of Madison County, Persons Magazine, People Magazine, Wrankwood Coffee Times, the book Hollywood Cafe, Coffee with the Stars, or Coffee Time or Hollywood Times, 3 Months Entertainment Weekly or Boston Magazine. 3 months is Boston. Anyway, final one comes from another person that also pointed this one out, and that is a thing that kind of caught my eye, but I couldn't place it in where I remember it from until I also saw the quote posted by Dr. Solowing, who said that Moira's raincoat is potentially a reference to American Psycho. Could very well be. Those were... that was pretty much on the nose then, because as I saw in the comment of Dr. Solowing, they noticed immediately the moment she donned the the raincoat that aha, I know what the killer is. Yeah, that was kind of like a big giveaway at that point. But yeah, anyway, that is for parts 1 and 2. So again, anybody who is gonna be pointing out stuff from this part, please do so in the comment section, because I only have like 4 things plus a 5th one that I don't even know where to place specifically, because there's probably a shit ton of specific references. But anyway, let's begin with my quotes then, I guess. Suicide Squad, I mean, do I need to explain this one? Anyway, the next one would be the from Tippy, but never tell me the odds, which is Han Solo from Star Wars. Very famous quote as well. Borgnine, which is probably a reference to the actor Ernest Borgnine, a famous American Academy Award-winning actor who did a lot of movies, a lot of very, very good movies. He has a very recognizable face. I'm sure most people know who this person is just by seeing a picture of them, so I implore everybody, just look up Ernest Borgnine and you're gonna see a legend essentially of the movie industry. For the newer generations, you probably also know him. Maybe not visually, but you definitely know him vocally. He did also some voice acting. So for anybody who has grown up with... oh, this is gonna reach. For anybody who has grown up with SpongeBob from the years of '99 until the years 2012, that is where the actor Ernest Borgnine passed away, sadly. But if you've watched SpongeBob until the year of 2012, he was the voice of Mermaid Man. I think most people know that voice, especially the younger generations. Anyway, there was another thing that was mentioned by Lucian, a city specifically, a Gaulish city by the name of Calais, which is actually a real French city. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing it, but that's the way I heard the name being pronounced, so hopefully it's correct. But yeah, Calais is an actual real-world French city, which I can't remember on which coast it's placed, but I think it's on one of the coasts. I don't remember which one, but it's also, I think, close to a border? I don't remember. It's been a couple of days since I looked that info up, so someone can correct me in the comments. But yeah, those are things that I noticed. There is one more thing, and it's the very obvious thing at the end of the story, where... Phantom, aka Lucian, aka now the new Tragodia, is looking straight into the camera the entire time at us, which is probably a reference to something, and I feel like I should know what the reference is from. And no, I'm not gonna be saying, yeah, oh yeah, sure, it's probably Deadpool, because Deadpool always looks at the camera when he's breaking the fourth wall, right? No, considering that, I mean, it could be probably, but nah, come on. The Deadpool and Lucian have as much in common as a rock and gas. But yeah, I don't know where to place it. I feel like I should know it. I feel like I've seen a scene where the actor at the end of a movie or something is staring straight at the camera while they're delivering a monologue or something, like full on breaking the fourth wall. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting if someone knows what it's specifically referencing. I'm all ears, because I have nothing on this one. That one flew completely over my head. But yeah, that's about the stuff that I've noticed when it comes to quotes. Now for the story again. So, story overall, I really enjoyed it, as I believe I said earlier, but really enjoyed it. The pacing was pretty darn good. The cutscenes were almost very reminiscent of how cutscenes were in the first and second year of this game's history. They were all short, but this one was pretty packed with stuff happening the entire time through. From delivering small clues to people going insane to people flashing back to their past. There was always something happening during these moments. Nothing felt like too much of a dead air thing, kind of, which is pretty good. Which is pretty good. Pretty well written story from start to finish. And again, as I believe I also said at the beginning of this segment, a murder mystery is definitely something that is very new to the whole collection of genres that we have at this point in Arknights. So yeah, that was a very interesting surprise and a very welcome one, and made the story even more interesting to follow along and figure out who the actual murderer is, what their motives were, how it's connected to that murder from 5 years ago, or rather, not really murder, but a tragedy, considering no one really set out to kill Laura, the actor Laura, like 5 years ago, but they were kind of fed up with her, so they kind of wanted to just get rid of her, right? Or just to teach her a lesson, but that misfired, and because it misfired, we have the situation of this story, where it came back to bite them in the ass. Yeah, and then of course none of them showed repentance for their actions in the whole thing. Again, I still find it very funny that out of all of the people who were responsible for Laura's death in the past, that Michael was literally the only one who was about to do something, but because he was under the whip of Marion and didn't wanna piss her off even more, he stopped in his tracks, and who knows, he might have actually, if he would have not, or Marion would have not been present during that moment, he might have actually saved her ass. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, let's go over the characters, and with that we're also gonna go over story elements. That's probably the easiest way to do it in one go, right? As I usually like to do it. And I take a quick break because a jet is currently flying over this area, and I can hear it very loudly. It's a pretty day, and the MiGs are flying, because the last couple of weeks were absolute shit weather. But anyway, the joys of living in the pathway of a military base, I guess. Anyway, story-wise, character-wise. So let's go in some kind of order, I guess. Beginning with Steven. Not really much to say about Steven, outside of the fact that he is a pretty much normal director, producer, I guess, writer on top of everything else. I do found it interesting about the little bit of that he was trying to expand his repertoire essentially by writing a story that did involve death in its not just its name, but it's obviously also its narrative. That death is something that, which is very ironic, by the way, to think about with how this story was going, that death was the one thing that he was struggling with and didn't know how to properly write it to make it meaningful. And at the end of the day, even though he pretty much had direct inspirations to how death can be meaningful and impactful right in front of his nose, even then he still struggled with it. And well, at the end of the day, the story completely changed to something to a completely different end to what it originally was. So yeah, that's how life goes, I guess. Either try something or just live with the flow, I guess. I don't know if that's what it was trying to teach us there. The cameraman Abner. Yeah, very interesting. So he was at the beginning. He was kind of propped up to be like this genius of a cameraman that captured that moment of Laura's death, and that made him pretty much immortal in cinema history. But that also weighed heavily on his consciousness, because he obviously caught the death of someone, and he pretty much immortalized the tragedy, because that tragedy is gonna be potentially forever part of a movie where it shouldn't have been even in, because it's a real tragedy and not a movie fictional tragedy. So that kind of weighed heavily on him, which is obviously very realistic kind of way of depicting the whole thing of how much it was impacting him, to the fact of that he was unable to take proper care anymore of his camera equipment and deal with the whole thing. And even before the whole legendary in-camera moment happened, he wasn't really that much of a cinematographer, I guess. At least he wasn't kind of like seen as one, or maybe perceived as one. He was probably good, but not that good. And this just kind of suddenly, it's kind of like I guess imagine imagine if someone starts a YouTube channel with God, I don't know where I'm going with this, but stay with me for a while. Imagine if someone starts a YouTube channel this month, and in like a month from now, it suddenly skyrockets from like, I don't know, they achieved some kind of 500, 600 subscribers, and then suddenly skyrockets to 100,000. And then you're like, where do I go from here? What do I do now? How did this happen? That is one of those, like, suddenly expectations are on you kind of moments. But yeah. He still finds his way at the end, at least. Abner does with this camera stuff. Finds his grip and manages to properly finish the movie. Honestly, essentially, during this whole story, he did show that he is good at the whole camera work, despite what might be weighing on his shoulders. Then we have Greta. I mean, outside of being a professional, I don't really have much to add to her. Outside of the fact that hiding the death of Laura was definitely a bad move. But she knows, unlike most of them, unlike most of the people from that set back then, she at least knew what she did. She at least knew how bad the thing is that she did. And she was prepared to show remorse and correct her mistakes and reveal the truth, kinda already. But this story pushed it even more forward to the forefront. I do wonder if she would have actually shown, or rather revealed the truth about Laura's death to everybody post this story, if not for the murders that were happening. If the murders were not like the trigger factor for her to actually tell people what the deal is, right? But outside of that, she's pretty much a professional hard-ass. She knows what she wants, she achieves it, and she proceeds. Again, a person who worked her way up through the corporal ladder to become someone significant. And then fell off, and then tries to climb up again, but realizes at the end that hey, this is just gonna go to shit. Let's still finish what we set out to do and be professional about this thing and see where we go from there, which is honestly commendable. Then we have Laura. I will count Laura as a character into this story because she did get quite the portrayal. A very eager young actress that pissed a lot of people off because of her behavior, I guess, which definitely should not be grounds to just straight up murder someone because someone is just too eager. But at the same time, she's definitely someone who was definitely, at least from the story's perspective, as how she's being portrayed by all the people describing her, definitely a bit maybe too eager. Like, she wants to achieve something, she wants to make something out of herself, but also she is not realizing the hierarchy too well, which, you know, you shouldn't really be constrained by it. But at the same time, if you're just setting out as an actor, you shouldn't probably, I mean, in any job, you shouldn't really be like, you know, jumping the gun and trying to push people, even if you're not intending it, trying to push people around more or putting more work onto their shoulders, considering that they probably already have a lot of work. I mean, this story just shows how other people viewed her, considering that they all already had, maybe outside of Dalton, but they already had, every single one of them already had a lot of stuff on their plate and other obligations, and then there was this youngling who just jumped in and suddenly started chirping around them, right? Still not an excuse to kill her, but or even to do what Dalton did to put her into her place. It would have been way more productive to just sit her down and talk to her, to be like, hey, you can't just do this. Like, I feel like this was a thing that the either director, producer, or someone responsible for the movie should have done with her back then 5 years ago. This might have been probably the biggest miss on Greta's part from 5 years ago, not to sit Laura down and have a one-to-one talk with her about her actions. But outside of that, she was just an innocent person. She was literally just an innocent person who suffered through who just had a tragedy. And yeah, ouch. What else to say? Michael, the pretty boy Hollywood actor, right? The guy who didn't really amount to anything at the beginning or to any big roles, then suddenly gets propped up, goes through some plastic surgery, and now is known far and wide. Have we not seen this story many times? Have we not seen this story many times? But yeah, but at the same time, Michael doesn't come alone. He comes in a package because Marion is with him, and oh boy, Marion. Again, I think Michael describing her as a parasite is probably the most apt description of her, because she knows her position in life, but she wants more, and she can achieve more if she just latches onto someone. And if she invests money into someone, and that someone becomes even more popular and earns more money, she basically gets her money back. I do, however, like the little thing about these two, that that over time, despite the fact that they kept pissing each other off and everything, and pretty much everything that was happening around them, that they still had feelings for each other. That it maybe never started with them having feelings for each other, but it ended with them having feelings for each other, which is why they kept coming back to each other. I do have to say that last bit as well, suggesting that Michael was about to murder Marion when he was trying to run away from the plate. Woo. Despite the fact that he had feelings for her, I do wonder how the scene would have actually went if he would have killed Marion, and we would have had like a day to spend with the guy before Moira gets to Michael's ass and kills him, then in turn as well. I do wonder how that would have gone, but yeah, I do like the whole thing. I did call them the lovers of the whole thing, of this murder, horror, slasher mystery that we had on our hands, and it was kind of correct. They were the lovers, despite the fact that they kind of also wanted to murder each other, I guess, to some degree. At least one of them did. But yeah, at the end of the day, they were assholes. Understandable assholes, at least. Michael's case is kind of like probably more understandable between the two of them. Marion is just a dickhead, but Michael, at least, on the other hand, kind of maybe more of an understandable character, as someone who is not feeling probably secure in himself, so he finds solace and security in the people around himself and in his looks, of course. So whenever he could speak up about something, he kind of shrinks back down, because that's just how he always was, probably in his life, more than likely. But yeah, Shelly. I don't really know what to say about Shelly. She was a wreck, essentially, when we meet her. She was a nervous wreck who suffered literal hallucinations about what happened 5 years ago, and kept literally self-injuring herself and scratching herself, and had many nervous tics, apparently. I mean, at least she suffered under what happened, but she was also in the position to say something in the past and save Laura's life before the tragedy happened, but she didn't. She, again, as the story stated, she never really showed remorse about what happened as well. Not even in her final moments before she got pushed into the freezer did she actually show any kind of remorse. Up until the very final moment, she never really never really felt sorry for Laura's death, which, yeah, again, another dickhead, just thinking about herself essentially in that final moment. Again, I find it very ironic that Michael was the only one who ever thought about Laura, even though he stopped himself in his tracks. But yeah, I don't know. Shelly was there for a brief while. Definitely a heavy topic with her as well, with the whole self-injury thing. Even though the self-injury thing was not portrayed in the sense of, you know, trying to end one's life, but to stop the hallucinations from happening. But man, there are better ways. There are better ways. Seek therapy in that case. Seek a shrink. Go and talk to people. That is a way better solution, I would say, than ramming a pen into your arm. Ugh. Dalton. I don't really have much to say about Dalton outside of that he was definitely the biggest asshole of them all, considering that he was a washed-up actor who was, and probably still is up until his last moments, a very, very good actor. But he is definitely the most responsible for Laura's death. I mean, he is the one who literally put her up there. So, him dying first definitely deserved. Definitely deserved as a karma kind of situation. But again, one of those people, just like Shelly, who never, just like Shelly and Moira, who never showed any kind of remorse or sadness towards a fellow actor's death on the set. So what to say outside of the fact that he was an absolute dickhead. Doesn't matter how much of a great actor he was once upon a time. The fact that he was taking it out on a new hire is just absolutely shitty. Melanie. I kind of like Melanie. I like her moxie. I like her approach to things. She's kind of like the Greta type, where she worked her way up by just persevering and keeping on going and improving herself and becoming better and better. Her whole shtick, why she feels like she has a stick up her ass when she talks to people, makes also more sense because she definitely worked herself to the bone to become who she is and become better and better and achieve greater heights, and therefore she just expects people to have some respect towards what she did and who she is, which makes sense. Was it a bit maybe too much of a grandiose approach and like self-importance kind of deal? Sure, but at least in her case, it's kind of like you know, it works. It's explainable. It makes sense why she would be that way. But yeah, honestly, I just have respect of her for all of her work approach and what she did. Of course, the downfall is again one of those self-explanatory works because that happened after Marianne, aka Jara, took her leave from the stage, and then the whole thing of probably went to her head and she did a whoopsie, and that catapulted her back down, and now she has to work herself back up again. I will also say that I do respect her decision at the end of the whole thing where she was essentially like, she could have just left like everybody else. She could have just left the production and everything, but she set out to do something, and she did it. She finished the movie in a grandiose manner, and she will probably be remembered for a while for that role. So yeah, respect. Jara, her essentially her rival and counterpart. It was very interesting to see Jara in this. I was kinda hoping they're gonna address Jara in some way. I didn't think that Marianne is gonna be Jara. I was kind of speculating on it for a while until they showed it, of course. But yeah, very interesting to see her in this story. And again, this story kind of put it into perspective when an actor dies taking place, like I said in the file reading earlier. But yeah, very interesting. Also, her family relationship to Tippy is interesting. Also, completely two different races is also something very interesting. So I don't know. Probably just some marriage thing where she married into another family or something. I don't know. Look, movie stars, right? But yeah, it was nice to see Jara again. Been a while. Been a while, definitely, since Jara made any kind of appearances. Playwright. Was kind of interesting to see him in here. And kind of interesting to see him a bit more developed than before. I mean, in-game wise, the only experience we have of the playwright is from IS2, so actually seeing the guy and seeing him with a actual in-game model and even being in a full-on CG at the very end of the story was very interesting and very nice. And again, I'm glad the guy is still around. Still around and alive, because at the end of the day, he was just a playwright. He was a writer for the stories who never who up until now never really, from my memory at least, never really had the opportunity to completely write what he wanted, because Tragodia would always kind of influence his writing to some degree. So now seeing him set free together with Shalem as well is very nice, because again, Tragodia, the actual Tragodia, will leave them alone, but the new Tragodia will continue his whole continue a new journey, essentially, or begin a new journey rather, but more on that in a bit. Speaking of Tragodia, the troop leader. Right, the long-lived one. Another one to the pile. Very interesting indeed. And I'm starting to see a pattern with these long-lived ones. They all have something that they are trying to continue or protect or persevere at stuff. Like, they all have kind of like a domain that they are protective of. Like Tragodia's is obviously the theater and drama, which is ever present and everywhere, so he can be everywhere. The unicorn, which I'm not gonna name, again, that would be too much of a spoiler, but the unicorn is someone who was granting wishes, and the domain of the unicorn was just that, granting a wish to a royal bloodline, essentially, to heroes, and that would have consequences for the person who would be given that. But the unicorn's connection is also to Noelle, which was a different kind of approach to things, and for Noelle that was a curse, which again, like I said earlier while I was discussing Noelle, his curse is now lifted, but the long-lived still exists. But yeah, again, that domain is also kind of like wish granting, I guess, but is also protective of their own domain. The last one is very interesting. The first one we ever met as a long-lived one, the Black Snake. that guy is very interesting, because what would his domain be? Because all he is trying to do is just to protect his home territory of Ursus, essentially. So what would his like keyword be? Like perseverance, maybe? I guess continuity could also fit in, or maybe preservation. I don't know. A lot of those kind of fit in, because all he is known for is the fact that he's trying to keep Ursus the way it is, the way it was. Kind of is trying to prevent it from losing its identity. Almost feels like if, in his case, like if Ursus would lose its identity or lose its territory, that would kill him. I mean, from the Tragodia thing, we did learn that influencing the thing that is linked to them is kind of the thing that might just be what is capable of killing them. if it's being executed well. I feel like that is the thing that the Phantom was trying to achieve there at the end, right? He was trying to do a play, to do a drama, to do a stage play in which Tragodia would participate, and if Tragodia would embrace his role completely, it could end him if he's killed on. It's kind of like killing him with his own knife, essentially. Very interestingly, kind of like what happened at the beginning of the story. Very interesting parallel, but yeah, interesting guy. But he is still around, as indicated. He is not dead. He just gave the reins over to the new Tragodia, to Phantom now. Also very interesting at the end of the story, or rather with how Phantom's character model changes when he becomes Tragodia at the end with the new robe and everything. One interesting thing to note is that his hair obviously changes a tiny bit. It's covering his right eye now, and there is something weird with his eye, with his right eye. It's not really well shown, but there's definitely something around it. I don't know if it's originium or if it's something else that is, or like maybe it's just like a portion of a mask that is there, like representing Tragodia. There is, if you see him from his profile, there is kind of like a little black branch as well, almost like a craggly branch at the right side as well, like splitting away. I feel like the whole shtick with Tragodia is that he became part of Lucian, of Phantom, and is now just riding shotgun for a while and observing what he does without interfering himself. So maybe his right side, like his right eye, is covered by like a mask that is just symbolizing that that Tragodia is with him the entire time, but we'll see. But before we get to our operators, final character and probably most interesting character in this whole thing when it comes to the NPCs, Moira. Ooh, Moira, what a character for a killer. A sweet little innocent looking girl that was just doing her own thing, but when the story starts to unravel about her past and how much in the dumps and how much depressed she was, and what happened to her on her previous field of work and everything, that she was ready to end it all essentially. But then Tragodia came along and he gave her a cassette tape after just potentially saying a word or two here and there. Maybe not even. I feel like the guy didn't really even do like his whole shtick of influencing someone's mind with a story or something. Like, he did just legitimately give her the tape, and as she was watching the tape, she was kind of like starting to develop a parasocial relationship with the person on the tape. Really feels like an analogy to today's today's internet, right? A person developing a parasocial relationship with someone they have never met in real life, but get so attached to that if something happens to them, they will either A, go absolutely apeshit and slander them themselves, or will even further defend them and will even further bunker down into the whole parasocial relationship thing. But yeah, she was mentally broken, then given a tape that that added to the mental to this shattered piece. The tape was essentially the glue that put her back together. In a way, it was the thing that was in between the cracks of the broken mirror. My god, what a character. And that went down very well then, because she pretty much became the vigilante that was seeking vengeance for the death of someone who has zero familiar relationships with her, but she thought about her as a sister, as a real sister, and yeah, that went down well. But yeah, what an interesting character. And yes, as indicated by the end of the story, she is on death row. She is on death row, and she will be probably very soon in the future executed in that prison, which makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, she did pretty much kill 4 people in cold blood. I do like one thing though. At the end of the story, despite the fact when she was told, even when she was told, which is kind of like also very interesting, even when she was revealed the truth and told that all she was doing because it was a false reality that she was in, that she was thinking that she was part of. Even then, she still persevered and kept going with the whole thing, except, again, the whole parasocial relationship, all this thing of being so attached that even when the truth is shown, you still stick to that person, right? But yeah, she still stuck to it, and only after Lucian used his arts to stop her in her tracks, which again is a very interesting thing. He could have just straight up killed her. But he chose to use his arts to disable her and stop her in place, just close to the point of killing her. And then later, as she was recovering and just laying in bed, she was she had a moment to think about everything. Her final moments there in the cutscene with talking with Tippy are essentially a good indicator of the fact that, yeah, she thought about it, about everything, and she's now clear. She is fine with what is coming to her, what is gonna be happening to her, and she's accepting of her end, which is, I guess, commendable in that case. But what a that is a tragic character. that is a tragic ass character, all right, but interesting nonetheless. All right, our playable characters. Tippy. I mean, a bit of a naive child. I mean, she is a child after all, but pretty naive. I mean, all of the signs that something was wrong were in front of her, but she kept refusing to look properly until it was too late. Like she did, like she was stating herself, she noticed that something was wrong with Moira, or that Moira was disappearing, but she wasn't mentally putting 2 and 2 together, because otherwise, I mean, she would be losing her best friend, right? You're protective of your best friend. You want them to be the best they can be, not the worst they can be. And you don't want to believe that they are the worst they can be, even though it becomes apparent. Again, the whole thing of not accepting reality, plus wearing masks, as the story is very known for, going with that analogy. But overall, Tippy is a very wholesome little birdie with a very interesting family connection. I mean, Jara Booker Wilson, who is directly connected to Rhine Lab and is a former movie star. So that one was very interesting as a reveal. And good God, can this little bird chirp out movie quotes? I feel like purely because she's a Liberi, they gave her the most chirped out movie quotes, because what is a parrot what is a parrot known for doing a lot? Repeating the same thing over and over. I don't know if that was intentional, but again, she has a big love for movies, so it makes sense. But my God, did they make clear that a lot of movies that we know kinda exist in the world of Arknights just through her. Plus, how many actors did they actually name or just reference in some kind of way? Good lord, this story in a weird way expanded the world of Arknights. In a very weird way, it expanded the world of Arknights in quite an interesting fashion. Who, but yeah, Tippy, very interesting, very wholesome, very adorable, and I guess we'll see where that is gonna be going, if it's gonna be going anywhere. I feel like her story is done. I feel like her story is done unless she's gonna appear like a supporting character in like a future Rhine Lab thing, if Jara is also gonna be present, but we'll see. We'll see if it's gonna be something. Miss Christine, our beast lord slash beast aristocrat, however you want to call them. Cute as hell. Also very diabolical at the same time. Makes sense, it's a cat. Cats are adorable as hell, but also the biggest assholes that exist. Look, I like cats and I like dogs, but good God, cats can be the most cuddliest things ever or the most asshole-ish things ever. But yeah, interesting character, I guess, and the way she communicates with people and stuff is obviously through telepathical means in her case, which is interesting because other characters or other creatures of her kind, like Emperor, I almost said penguin, like Emperor and the Lupo, the wolves, have all adopted to actually speak human language in a sense. So seeing her opt out of it, just behave like a normal cat, but be able to telepathically communicate with someone, interesting. But outside of that, I guess the only thing we've learned is that she is also able to manipulate people's feelings, but not by giving them a false personality, but actually ripping feelings out of them. That is a thing. I don't even know how that would work. What is she even eating? I mean, they said in the story that she's eating the feelings, but how does that even work? What is the tangible thing about feelings that she can absorb that leaves the person then kind of like almost dazed in their tracks when that gets absorbed? Like, I guess they are meaning that she's eating the memory attached to the feeling, or eating it partially, not completely, or maybe in some cases, like in the story where the film crew was going after Tippy and they completely forget why. I feel like that one is kind of like the most apt showcase of, yeah, she seems to have directly just, in quotes, ate the memories, the most recent memories that made them into these rage-filled assholes that were going after our child and trying to murder the child, essentially. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting, however. Very interesting. And our star of the show that has the giga brain of any anime protagonist, Lucian, aka Phantom, and now known also as Tragodia. Definitely a character. I was wondering what they're gonna be doing with him in this story, essentially, how they're gonna portray him and what he's gonna be doing in here. But yeah, he is a very, very smart and very sharp individual, which makes sense because of his upbringing as a assassin and being taught directly by the troop leaders and others. And yeah, it makes sense for him to be the way he is. But yeah, he is definitely way smarter than what I was thinking about him originally. Like, I mean, originally there was not much outside of his file on the original character, plus and that didn't really show him as like the most social butterfly. So there's not much to go by. IS2 also didn't really do too much outside of showing him being like pulled back into his old ways and then his ass being saved by Shalem. I guess the biggest exposure, but that is also the most recent exposure about him as a character, is from the manga. But that also just literally came out on Global, so not much to go by. At least when it comes to longevity. So yeah, very positively surprised about how he was portrayed as a character, how sharp he is as a person, how inquisitive, how... He was pretty much a detective in the shadows. In the shadows of the story, and he was doing a lot of stuff in between, or rather behind the scenes. for this whole thing as he was preparing for the big showdown with Tragodia himself. And also how much was depicted about him as well at the end of the story, about the whole thing of him going into the world, going into the footsteps of Tragodia, trying to find where he was, what he did, what makes him tick. Like, just showcasing this kind of obsession that he had with his former teacher, and how deep that went, plus how determined he was to find some kind of weakness to achieve his goal, and technically he did achieve his goal. He did manage to murder him again, but this time around it kind of went in a different way. And now he is the new long-lived, or rather, he's the new immortal. So we'll see what that brings. I will say though, now that he is immortal, and his last words seem to be indicating that he might be forming his own troupe, I do like from his file as well the stuff about him essentially preparing contingencies about, hey, just in case I go down the same path that the original Tragodia did, here are the clues that I have collected about the original Tragodia and potentially his weaknesses and everything. Do analyze them, because if shit goes down, you guys will have to do something against me, or, well, there is still Miss Christine. And if shit goes down, Miss Christine can also literally swallow his whole personality if she has to, and gorge herself on it. But yeah, interesting. He is immortal. He is. I guess he's going out into the world to develop his own theater, his own drama, and to do more research, I guess. I do wonder for how long he's gonna be around, because here is the thing. Here is the thing. And again, do not answer me. There's hints about that in Enfield, but considering that he is immortal, he could actually, as himself, appear in Enfield at some point, or he could be directly referenced in Enfield in some shape, form, or capacity. I mean, Miss Christine could appear in Enfield. Any of the beast aristocrats could appear in Enfield, for that matter. But considering that they don't age or die, the good question is if they can leave Terra, of course. But if the immortality might not be just tied to the planet itself, that would be an interesting angle on the whole thing. But yeah, he is immortal. He's gonna be around for a while. His infection seems, because of the immortality now, frozen in place, because he doesn't age anymore. I guess if your cells are stopped from multiplying and replacing themselves over and over again, which is pretty much how age regression goes, you know, continuous multiplication is not the word I'm looking for. It's continuous replication, I think, is the word I'm looking for, because it keep replicating itself over and over again, and after a while, replication just reaches a point where, it starts to degrade. Kind of like if in the good olden days you would take one CD and you would burn it, and then you would take the information from that and burn it onto another, then onto another, and and it keeps going that way, and the information just keeps... It starts to degrade after a while. Almost like aging. But yeah, I guess if his entire bodily structure is now like frozen in time and not capable of aging anymore in a normal fashion, I guess Originium will be stopped in place, because it can't really replicate itself as well. I mean, it's part of his body, so it's probably also frozen in place, right? But yeah, very, very cool depiction of him as a character for the story, and I did really, really, really enjoy it. I will say, however, I am just a tiny bit disappointed that they didn't use the famous line from him from his original model, one of the voice lines. I was kind of expecting it at some point to be somewhere. They go all, "Utai, utai, utai," and was nowhere used the sing, right? It was never used, and I'm shocked. That is kind of like the one thing that he's kind of known for. What the hell? Why? He did sing, however. That is definitely the case, and yeah, his singing Originium arts are nuts, but at the same time they're very self-deprecating. They're very much firing back at him as well the moment he starts using them. Honestly, if not for the immortality given at the end of the story by Tragodia, he would have probably died after the story in a very short time. Again, like his file stated, 17% assimilation and what was it again? 0.45 units per liter. That is kind of like stopping the doomsday clock in the last 2 or 3 seconds before it hits midnight. kind of like that. He is if his clock starts ticking again normally, he will not have a lot of time unless someone develops something that actually reverts Originium progress through the body. He is literally stopped right before midnight, before the clock strikes, and the body goes nuclear. But yeah, TLDR, this was a very good story, very good development, very well written, and I don't really have anything too crazy to point out of the story, like nitpicks and stuff like that. Outside of the very excessive use of quotes and references from all media, which was very well welcome and does add a ton to world building for Arknights. So that is great, but it was so excessive. It was so excessive. At points it just felt like a comedy at some points, but that probably also makes sense because this was also very theatrical. And what goes with theater, if not comedy, drama, and tragedy, right? But yeah, anyway, this will be it. I've been yapping for a while now, and that is enough. Again, if I yap for a long time, that just means the story was good and the characters were good. But anyway, this will be enough. So thank you very much for listening. If you're still around, please consider leaving a like. It will help out a lot. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. New story is right around the corner with the story for Lazy Altar, so please look forward to that one. Hopefully that will not be cursing me and my body like this one did. Hopefully. But yeah, subscribe for more, and if you want to support me more directly, memberships are open on the channel. And like I always say, no video will be behind a membership, it's purely there for support. So thank you very much to all the members already doing so, much appreciated. And I hope you all have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. And enjoy the clip section, of course, at the end of this one as well. But anyway, until the next time, bye-bye. What the... This is Greta's plan for the shoot? The Originium storm's running in front of our faces. What are we? Some No. No. Suicide Squad. Oh, game I literally just started. Please, I literally just sat down and just started reading. Oh my god, okay, Suicide Squad. We're gonna mention that as well, sure. Huh, funny, they're gonna go hide down in the engine lair where, where Tippy and where the scene in the Killer movie was taking place in earlier, that Tippy and Moira were watching. I wonder if it's gonna be their salvation, or are they all gonna die down there now? Ooh. The Liberi girl's head sinks. She speaks no more. Oh no, no. Oh, she really needs a hug right now.
To be honest, no idea. But never tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds. There's another one. There is another one. Fuck's sake. Lucian then realizes something has changed and looks over to see that every mannequin has come alive. Oh god, no. Nah. I've seen that horror shit. Mannequins are the truest evil and bullshit. You go right now. You are leaving stage left. Bye-bye. Screw that. If there are weeping angels on top of it, nope. Oh, good. We get a picture for this as well. Nice. Good God. As Moira finishes speaking, her dance partners throw themselves at Lucian. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I was expecting that. Still, hell no. Fuck all of this noise. That was actually very well done. I was... Thank you, Miss Christine. I was like halfway expecting them to do some kind of shit, considering they don't have a actual mannequin on screen to do it with. I was expecting the usual like crickety crack and then just as it charges into your face. Okay, that was well executed. Oh shit. Christine just being a cat. Christine just being a cat right now. Okay. Is Mr. Troop Leader gonna appear at the top of the stairs in a second? Probably. Hi Dalton. For the love of... What? Even now we're fucking putting stuff in. Alright, another one. Oh shit. Embrace the tornado. Damn, Melody. You guys are all insane. Holy moly. Oh shit. Oh shit, hi. Close up. Hello there. Is he stabbing him through the gut? I don't think anything is gonna work against this guy, but anyway. Poetic drama. Oh shit. Get stabbed, bitch. I'm gonna call it right now. There's gonna be like a splash of blood or something like behind him. They're intentionally leaving his background empty. Oh shit, never mind. The dankness has exploded out of him. Sick. However, he also notices a change in himself. Oh, hi. Hi? Suddenly wearing clothes? Suddenly drip? Okay. Are they gonna explain what this means now? Did he inherit the deathless one? The long-lived one? Is he part of him now? Okay. This is a background I haven't seen in a while. Columbia Wrankwood outskirts federal nomadic prison. 2 months later. Oh hey, she's still alive. She's just in prison. Wow. I mean, it makes sense. Distinguished guest, how much did the organizer spend? Oh wait, is Jara here? Oh wait, yeah, I see the name. I should read what's in front of me sometimes. As much reading as I'm doing, I kind of find it funny. That sometimes I just say something and it's in front of me. Anyway. Okay, are we now gonna get a little peek into what the relationship between Jara and TP is? Please? Or do I have to read her file? Grandma! Grandma? Okay. Okay. I don't even know her race. I guess either a Wulpo or cat? Could be anything with those ears? Bird? Okay. A mixed family, I guess? Alright, Grandma Jara, wow. Oh shit, hi. Okay, okay. I'm gonna wait until this zooms out. Just random NPCs? And, our buddy in the back just sitting there watching the movie? Interesting. I like that they put together, like, a picture here with just your average Joe NPCs. At least I don't recognize any of them. This guy right here kinda... The one in the middle... I'm not recording the mouse right now, hold on. This guy here in the middle kinda resembles the playwright to some degree. I'm actually shocked and surprised by the detail in every single one of these NPCs right now, not gonna lie. Oh shit! Oh hi! Oh, there is a playwright, never mind! So... What is this? Also, is it just me, or is he looking straight at the camera right now, like straight at us? I think he is. I think they're doing the thing where the actor is breaking the fourth wall or some shit. Okay, that's funny. Oh fuck, he is actually looking at the... He is addressing the audience. Hi. Hi. And curtain. Alright, interesting. So he is, he's forming a new troupe, huh? That's interesting. Okay, definitely gonna be including his file into the finale, because I do want to read it myself as well, and see what it's gonna say, because it's definitely gonna have some like post story and future teases. But anyway, that is it. That was neat. That was pretty neat.